Weekly dose of all things FSU, pistols, and pies starts right now. Here's Jeff Cameron.
The Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV begins right now, and it's a good day for it. Every day is a good day after a 45-3 ass beating. There's Ira, there's Corey. Hello, good sirs. How are you?
Good, man. Good.
I'm all right. I'm struggling. I'm gonna make it though. I'm gonna survive. I just had a dental procedure and half my face is numb.
So I was gonna say before you offered it up to everybody that you're playing a little wounded today, but had you not been able to make it, Corey, it would have been a catastrophe since you've already welched several times over on hour number 2.
He still hasn't made it to hour number 2 yet.
I haven't. I'm going to try, though. I'm going to try. It's going to sound great with half my mouth numb, but I'm going to do the best I can.
That's all right.
I'm going to slobber on myself.
Did they knock you out for this filling?
No, I got Novocaine, though. I got Novocaine pretty good. It's pretty nice Novocaine.
Yeah, you're doing all right, though. Doesn't sound any different.
Doesn't sound bad?
No, doesn't sound any different.
Good.
We'd let you know. Register Sausage sponsors the hour always, and we always appreciate it. That is a good thing, and, of course, a robust yay sausage to Register Sausage as the celebration has been ongoing. I think probably today's – well, no, you really celebrate 45-3 over Miami year-round. But as far as your concentration, like hourly and daily, today's probably the last day to really wallow in it before we turn on to Syracuse, guys.
Yeah.
On to Syracuse. Time to get focused.
Did he have a promo code for?
He did. I'm looking up right now. There was a lot of victory sausage this week around the state of Florida.
Tons of victory sausage.
Not all parts of the state. Some parts of the state, it might have been pity sausage.
Well, and if you're a Miami fan, you need this Register Sausage moving forward because it ain't nothing but pity sausage happening for you from here on out. They could lose to Georgia Tech this weekend, and I mean it.
Well, I don't know what the spread is, but it can't be more than a couple points one way or the other.
They could just have it cut off at that point. He did have a promo code initially after the game to get free sausage. That was Doak South, but I'm sure that was a limited offer. For everybody else, 15% off if you use the promo code Garbage Time in all caps. Garbage Time in all caps will get you 15% off of your order at registermeats.com, or you can go to your local grocery store if you're in this area, this part of the country, and get it right there. But if you have it delivered, it's just as good. It comes just as cold and fresh as if you got it out of the store.
Amen.
So
brother.
our thanks to Register Sausage, our thanks to by the way, Georgia Tech is favored in the game.
Oh, you're going to the Flats. You're going to Atlanta. That's a tough place to play.
I mean, that is a toughie. I mean, if you happen to be one of the few remaining souls in Hard Rock Stadium that was a Miami fan for the entirety of 45-3, you're dealt yet another blow when you find out Georgia Tech is favored over you.
Well, you had the common opponent you just both played recently. Georgia Tech looked a lot better.
Actually, and
they looked horrible.
I was watching Dino Babers' press conference yesterday, and somebody asked him about Florida State, and he said, well, somebody asked about like the Miami games. Yeah, they just beat them 45-3, and actually more impressively is the fact that they beat Georgia Tech 41-13.
Oh, Dino, there you go, Dino.
Yeah.
He's like, Georgia Tech's improving.
We need to use that on a loop. Babers just taking shots at everybody wants to.
Don't forget what they did to that great Georgia Tech team now.
Yeah, that is that is something. So it is that Florida State moves on now. I do think that obviously the revisit here this hour, and we'll get into headliner questions next hour, is fun. But I am interested to see, first of all, does Syracuse get their quarterback back? If they don't, then this will be a romp for Florida State. If Syracuse does get their quarterback back, this could be an interesting game if you're not focused, if you're not locked in. And it is another challenge and step forward for Florida State to take, for Mike and the staff to get guys after a big rivalry win like that, a blowout win. Everybody's patting you on the back, you're ranked again. Everybody realizes the growth of this program. But now you got to go take care of business against a team that is reeling a little bit themselves, and they've given up a ton of yards on the ground lately, Syracuse has. You would think this is a bad matchup for Syracuse if Florida State's focused.
Yeah, and the quarterback thing is it's really bizarre how the whole thing transpired. He got hurt a couple weeks ago. He played in a game. It didn't appear injured.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, and then they just pull him for medical reasons. But Dino Babers insists it's not a concussion. He was saying it's not a concussion. Then he didn't play this past week, but he dressed out for warmups, and then he didn't play, and then he went to street clothes. And then after the game, Babers said the doctor said he couldn't play, but it's not a concussion. He keeps emphasizing he called it an owie. That guy's the worst, by the way.
Yeah. By the way, any grown man calling anything an owie can go to hell.
But the point is, there's like, what else could it be? There's no visual injury what else could it be? But he just refuses to say it's a concussion.
Could be a criminal investigation. We don't know. Could be any number of things. I mean, I'm not irresponsibly throwing that out there. I'm saying it could be any number of things, So who knows? But either way.
It is a weird deal because it's not look, man, he's not
Steve Young.
He's not Peyton Manning. He's not a guy that changes the complexion of everything.
I like that we went old school with our references.
Yeah.
But
Peyton just retired.
Well, he's not Pat
5-6 years ago.
He's not Pat Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen.
I like the Steve Young. Steve Young was great.
Yeah.
Well, you went with the mobile. You went with the mobility.
I went with the mobility factor.
Yeah,
that's what I was looking at. Yeah.
But the thing about
he's not Fran Tarkington.
Right. Exactly.
It takes them from minimal to chance to a chance if they have it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and they play, unlike Miami, Syracuse plays hard. They play hard all the time. They played hard in their 19-9 loss. They do play hard. You have to earn it. I mean, you can earn it, but you have to. And so they'll play hard.
But without him, man, it's minimal.
Yeah. It's the chance. Listen, Florida State's favored for a reason. They ought to win the game. We know all of this. And this is where it's another test of your maturity. I mean, I think when we came back from Clemson, we spent a lot of time, kind of taking a look at the larger landscape. All right, this is what we know about Florida State. This is some of the stuff that we're excited about, some of the stuff that we're disappointed about. With each passing week, you get more evidence, to the good or the bad, about what a team is. You're either growing or you're regressing, and Florida State's clearly growing and moving in the right direction. And so, we all have these thoughts about what a team is in week 1, week 2, week 3, but we know something more because of the evidence, and Florida State is trending in the right direction. Syracuse is trending in the wrong direction, and that's it's another good opportunity.
It's a really good sign, too, that your last 3 wins, now there's 3 losses in the middle, but your last 3 wins over overmatched teams, you just blew the bejesus out of them. That's good, man. You don't let these teams hang around. You exert your dominance. The NC State game still sucks, but you exert your dominance over the 3 teams that you should be beating like that.
Well,
that's not normal. Look around college football. There aren't a lot of teams that have these kind of wins anymore. And Florida State's got 3.
Well, and they've got 4 wins of 25 points or more. And the last time Florida State's done that was 2013. That's impressive, right?
How many do they have of 25 or more that year?
About 10.
Okay.
I was going to say every game, including the Maryland game that you were worried about.
The Maryland game.
Not Boston College.
Boston College was the one, right? That was like a 17-point game. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to watch them play. I mean, sometimes you can just boil it down to something weird like that. Like, how much better is Florida State? I don't know. They're fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like, that is, think about it that way. If you're just a general fan, you're like, oh, I can't wait to watch this team play. Like, I get antsy during the week now because they're well coached. I think I really love to watch this offense. I know the defense was good on Saturday, but this offense presents a lot of problems. We keep talking about that. When you have a mobile quarterback, but you also emphasize the running game traditionally or otherwise, you can throw the ball if a team is hell-bent on trying to take away the run. There's just a lot of options.
Running backs are hard to tackle.
Yeah, and as Benson continues to emerge as a burgeoning star, you get more and more excited to see them play. Their confidence continues to grow. I think scheme-wise, Mike and Alex Adkins do a very good job of putting them in a position to succeed each week. I just love watching the game plan play out. They're fun to watch coach, and if the defense continues to get better now that they're healthier, this is a team nobody really wants to play, and I think that's true. And I think they do have a chance, like we said, after Clemson, they could win all 5. If you win all 5, you've got 9 wins. Under no circumstance would anybody complain about 9 wins. We even said if they went 8-4, it'd be a good season. And you still, now you're getting excited about what kind of bowl game are you going to go to? I mean, these are the questions you ask as you're a top 25 team this late in the year and you watch players grow and develop. These are things that happen when programs are certainly trending upwards, and Florida State is. It's not even close now. It's no longer a debate.
It's a elite offense. I didn't think this was possible, man. I just because of the last 2 years, I'm like, okay, it's just not meshing well. Maybe the quarterback isn't good enough. The line isn't good enough. He doesn't have enough weapons. Well, now it's all good enough. And there aren't many teams that do what they do. Jordan Travis threw for 400 yards the week before, and then in this game he threw 12 passes.
Yeah.
And they won by a bigger
They
won by a bigger score. I mean, there aren't offenses that do that around the country. I guess maybe Ohio State, not Tennessee this week, but like I legitimately think this is one of the top 10 or 12 offenses in the United States, which is last year it was top 70. That's really remarkable how much better they've gotten.
My favorite part of the post-Miami game part is the conversation around the counter play. Because Kevin Steele was asked about it yesterday. Man, they sure ran a lot of counter on you guys. And Kevin Steele's like, yeah, 32 out of 70 plays. And so, then the media is asking, like, why couldn't you guys stop it? And he can't say, well, our guys quit pretty early on.
Yeah.
That he can't offer that up.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to talk around it. Well, we did this, we did that. And then today, Dylan Gibbons was, we were interviewing him today after practice, and somebody asked him about the counter, and he said, we took it as a huge challenge, and we knew if that play didn't work, that result of that game might have been different. I want to be like, no, Dylan, it was not going to be different.
It was never going to be different. You would have done something else.
You would have figured out.
Run some other plays. And it was because you could have picked whatever the hell you wanted. It just was fun to keep running counter over and over and over, and they couldn't stop it.
The fact that they did, there's real physicality to that. And it was funny to listen to Mario Cristobal do an interview with Joe Rose the next day, and he was talking, and he was asked that question. He's going to be asked about it.
Is he on that show every week?
I don't know if he is or not. I just found it. I saw it was on there.
Joe Rose.
Yeah, I wanted to see what his comment
Who do you think
was.
he said?
I thought he said Joe Rogan at first.
No,
I was like, wow,
that would
Mario
be very
Cristobal.
weird.
That'd be 2.5 hours.
He
Just
joined us
focusing
now
on
as Mario
with
Cristobal.
Rogan.
It's like, what?
No, Joe
I
Rose.
didn't realize Joe Rose was still.
He's still alive.
Man.
And he had him on, and I pulled the audio. I just wanted to hear what he had to say because I knew they were going to ask questions about how the hell you get beat 45-3 and embarrass the program, the history, every Miami fan that's ever lived, the current ones, the ones that thought about being Miami fans, you name it. And as it was playing out, he was asked repeatedly about that. And he's like, well, they ran a lot of counter, and that's a real physical play. And our guys lost that battle. And I'm like, ooh, he just wants to tell you.
And then did you hear what he said about Benson?
Oh, yeah. Well, he took credit for it.
Yeah. But
we're well aware of the kind of player their running back is. I mean, that's the kind of caliber of player we recruited to Oregon.
But he mentioned physicality in there.
Yeah.
He mentioned like he's the kind of physical player we recruited. And he's basically telling the world over and over and over
that they're soft.
Yes. Yeah. And that they don't compete.
Like really soft. And it was funny, too, to hear that he basically admitted they got bullied. And then, there's only so many ways you can say that. And then you get asked that question again in another way. You're kind of like, guys, I'm making it as abundantly clear as possible without calling them that word. And I'm not, I don't know what else you want me to do here.
Think about the world we're living in now where Florida State's doing that to people.
Oh, bullying people.
Yeah, that hasn't happened. But 4 straight 200-yard rushing games. I think the only one, other than LSU, Wake Forest, the only other game they didn't run for 200 yards. I mean, they do this to everyone. It's cool to see because it's not like this is a transcendent, all-time great offensive line unit. They've got some players, but they're not incredible. They're not Walter Jones. So you have to think as Alex Atkins coaches these guys up and develops them, and they get it used to this scheme, that even when you lose to Dylan Gibbons and a Dimitri Emanuel, it's still going to look like this. This isn't going anywhere.
You're hitting on the thing I'm most excited about. The guys that have more talent are behind these starters.
Yeah.
And they're being allowed to develop. They're being allowed to get stronger.
Which is huge.
It is huge. They have not been in a long time. They're being allowed to get stronger, figure it out, technique, all of it. Add strength, add size, understand scheme, understand technique. Alex is a great teacher. And so if you're watching this play out the way that it is right now with this group, imagine what it'll be with guys that are even more talented across the board. And they have several of them that just are, that he's working with better clay. He's molding better clay starting next year and the year after.
And they're not throwing it in the mix right now.
Well, which is a big thing because I was talking to a guy who's in athletic training, and he was saying that those shoulder injuries, and we've seen it in other sports too. It's not just football, but definitely football. When you have those shoulder surgeries early in your career, and a lot of times you never get back to
it's awful.
And so by not playing everybody wants to see these freshman offensive linemen, Jalen Early, Julian Armella, these guys play. Man, relax. Let them get bigger and stronger, so when they go in there, they don't get hurt.
Well, and even guys like Estes that are going to play a lot, he's gotten so much stronger. He was already strong. Like, and you watch him go. Yes, it's exciting. And if they are able to get just a couple of like 5-star Armella types, with that body type in here, and those guys are also allowed to develop. Now you got that pipeline rolling where you see, for years it was Alabama. You've seen Georgia do this where they just, every time you look out there, like, that's another monster at right tackle. Yeah. That's a huge, when they're able to do that and get through it, then you are obviously able to sustain high levels of offensive play for years to come, and not just a one-year one-off. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Sellers Tile does it better for business owners, contractors, designers, and homeowners. Better design ideas, better quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring, better mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions. And Sellers makes it easier with their amazing showroom and first-class professionals. Maybe it's time to get Sellers working for you on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com for better style, quality, and design. Go with Sellers in Tallahassee. Call 656-8453.
This is Dr. Shannon Lord at Finn Chiropractic. Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Whether you have neck pain, back pain, headaches, joint stiffness, if you're tired all the time and just don't feel right and don't feel like yourself, these are things that we can help with in our office. Take advantage of our online special offer. Make an appointment online so we can get you in right away. Come visit our website at finnchiro.com, FENNCHIRO.com, because your chiropractor loves you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Hey, what's happening, Jeff?
It is always good to see you, Eddie. Had a long day, my man. I was thinking about it. Gordo's was the place to ease the pain, you know? You're frustrated with your job. Your aggravated life's beating you down. Maybe your wife's speaking. You got to get out the door.
You know what? Here at Gordo's, man, we welcome everybody. Disgruntled wives, disgruntled husbands, kids running away from home. We'll even give that kid a job. Send them our way.
Go make some money and eat delicious food at Gordo's. It's perfect.
And have a damn good time doing it.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, this is Greg Tish. Here's something you might know about me. I don't drink coffee. I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. Well, that is until now. So why change now? Well, it's because my dear friend at Grassroots Coffee reached out to me after hearing me say that and insisted that I give his product a try. I've been making a huge mistake. The world of coffee is fascinating. I always thought coffee is coffee, you know? No, it's not. I have tried their coffee and it is fantastic. Now, I've got a fascination with learning more about the best coffee in our area. Grassroots Coffee is locally roasted, locally owned, and locally loved. You can find whole bean Grassroots Coffee on the local aisle at Publix, also in Whole Foods. But the best way to get this black gold is to order it online. They literally grind the fresh roasted beans to your preferred level, bag it, write the date on it by hand so you know the exact day your coffee was roasted. It doesn't get any more fresh than that. Order yours now. Just go to grassrootscoffee.com and choose the coffee you want and how you want it. And join me. Let's step up our coffee game together and also support a great local business.
This is Kyle, service manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186. Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
If you had to pick a single favorite moment besides Jamie Robinson treating that poor man like a small child,
that's the number one.
That's number one. So save from that moment, just ragged on a dude at the end of a long, excruciating experience for Miami fans. Besides that one, what was your next favorite moment in a 45-3 ass stomping?
You know, a play I like. Well, Benson just this whole game running over folks. But there was one play where he ran like, I think it was like a 30-yard run down the left sideline, then got up and shook the dude's hand that pushed him out of bounds. Like not shook his hand, but kind of gave him a high five. Like, hey man, that's the way to compete. Good try.
Yeah, you guys are at least you're trying.
Yeah, but it was like it's just an odd. It's a cool, unique character trait out of a running back that's trucking everyone to be appreciative when somebody actually
gives it a go,
pushes them out of bounds. Yeah, I was like, man, Trey might be hitting another level now where he's almost feeling sorry for teams because that's a big development. He was not good against LSU, and the first 3 quarters against Louisville, he was the worst running back they were putting on the field. He had that the run against Louisville where he got face masked and ran through it. They got them down to the red zone where they ended up scoring to take the lead. And since then, he's been the guy we thought he could be. I mean, it makes sense. Like he had never played in college football. He had never really been tackled. So of course he was hesitant. Of course he didn't look like he looked in the spring. So it took him a while to get adjusted to the game, but now you see why they are so excited about him because he's very, very, very hard to tackle.
Takes a long time to trust when you come back from an injury, especially if you're a running back and it's a lower body injury. It's really hard. You know, how many guys have you talked to over the years that either had foot or knee issues, and they would talk about how they were cleared medically, physically they were told they were 100%, but mentally they couldn't cut. They didn't really lean into it.
With him, though, it just seemed like he didn't trust how good he was. Like they don't tackle him. He fought, like in that LSU game, if you watch it, it's not that he's not trusting to run hard or cut. He's tiptoeing into guys. Now he's just lowering his shoulder and bouncing off. I mean, they bounce off him like he's made of.
Yeah, he's a strong dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty remarkable.
But I mean, it's nothing he's really ever seen before.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 6 carries in 2 years at Oregon. So he hasn't played really since going back to high school. And I'm sure last year at Oregon, he probably was never in a contact. He's always in non-contact. So
man,
build
your body back up.
I mean, I just think it's a new experience for him. But man, he has adapted quickly. And I mean, the thing is, like, usually when Florida State brings in a great running back, whether it's Cam Akers or Dalvin Cook or whoever, they're kind of what they are when they get there. Yes, Russell Ball's a good one.
Yeah, one of the Lamarck trio.
I'm glad that you broke that out.
Yes.
You don't often see a running back like develop while they're here. You know, I mean, it's at least in my mind, like the great ones. But he was not great at the very beginning of the season. And every game, it looks like he's getting better and better. That's cool to watch because usually, man, like Dalvin was Dalvin when he got here.
Except for Jimbo didn't notice.
Well, Jimbo didn't play
because for whatever reason he thought the other guy was better.
He had what was his name?
Mario Pender was apparently blindingly good.
He was also he also didn't develop while he was here.
Yeah, the oddity with Benson is that all 3 of us saw him be real good in practice, though. I mean, I remember
he was good in the spring.
Yes, there were moments when he'd run past you where you'd say, that's different. But nobody that big should run that fast.
Right. No, so you knew the physical skills were there,
yeah.
But could it translate to Saturdays? And we didn't know for sure those first couple weeks. Now we know for sure.
Now Miami knows.
It'll be interesting to see, too, how much better he gets as this year goes on, because I'm already getting questioned. You guys are probably too. I know the fan base has brought it up. I told Ira yesterday when he joined me on the Jeff Cameron Show. Lengthy segment yesterday, Corey.
Meaty.
Yeah,
meaty. That's what it takes. Yeah, 45-3 win over Miami.
Sometimes,
make you care.
Sometimes all it is. That's what it is. Yeah, we had a good long conversation yesterday, Ira and I. And one of the things
the first 2 minutes was him replaying me taking my shot,
which was
during
awesome.
The Sunday Smash.
Yeah. In fact, Corey, you have not heard it. Did you see Ira's shot during the Sunday Smash?
I don't watch the Sunday Smash.
Listen, so I wanted
you did. I know you did. I did listen to the beginning of it. So you had the Dos Artes.
I did. Yeah.
I did, but I thought you were drinking Diet Coke.
He peer pressured me.
And that's when I stopped listening. When I heard he was drinking Diet Coke, I'm like, I'm done with this.
So at the end of the night, the listeners, the fans of the show, over 1,000 of them watching at the time,
there you go,
said to Ira, come on, man. It's 45-3 over Miami. What are we doing?
Yeah.
And so he grabbed the old bottle of Don Julio. He went and got it. I filled while he went and got the Don Julio. Did you have that hidden somewhere?
No, it was in the kitchen. But somebody tweeted at Don Julio telling that I need an endorsement.
You
deal.
do.
Although I don't know it's really positive for them because my reactions are never. It's never a real positive reaction.
So
you didn't say, "Oh, that's smooth."
There's two things. There's two things I want you to hear. Okay, so first of all, I want to point this out so you'll understand the visual. Ira is a grown-ass man.
Yes, yeah.
And what I mean by that is when I asked him to do a shot, when the people asked him to do a shot, he didn't go get a shot glass. My man's got a glass. I mean, this is way too much.
Oh, okay.
Don Julio for any man to handle in one moment.
Is it a souvenir cup?
This is like a silly amount of Don Julio that he shot, and this is the reaction. This is us.
Am I about to watch it?
We're going to hear it.
Okay.
You're going to hear it. Here you go. Here we go, everybody. Cheers to Florida State's 45-3 ass beating over Miami.
Thanks for watching. Oh, yeah. I mean, it gets better with age.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
All right, yeah.
Now just picture the look on his face.
I think you were thinking the exact opposite when you said that. Ooh, yeah.
Somehow, Macho Man Randy Savage got my
That was so
my
good.
vocal cords.
Yeah, that was perfect. And the look, that wince.
It's like selling Slim Jims.
All right, man. Good, man.
I was proud of him.
Okay.
I was proud.
Ooh,
Andy
yeah.
had to go. Didn't you have to write something that night?
Oh, yeah, but that was...
You've done that. There's the picture. Look at the size of the... Are you looking at the screen?
You don't have a shot glass Ira at your house? Or?
That's
Look
the
at-
one I grabbed.
Would you look at the size of that shot glass? That is just wrong.
Meanwhile, you've got like a little scepter. You've got like a tiny little scepter. You sip your bourbon.
He's
in
got
that.
the fine
It's
stuff.
my scotch that I
Yeah.
sip out of that. But that is, yes, that was Dos Artes. That is
That's a big cup, Ira.
It's
That's a
a
big cup.
That's like a glass
That's not a
of
shot
tequila.
glass. It's a
How we
cup.
roll.
Anyhow, well done, and I'll be forever proud of you for that moment. And that's what 45-3 does. It elicits that and an hour number 2
Yeah,
coming up here.
yeah,
real
that's
shortly.
right.
Some listener DM me also saying that you guys now, after every win, need to end the show with a shot.
Okay, well,
I mean, people, this is the problem,
you are
man.
going to finish off
This
that
is
Don
kind of
Julio.
like the hour number 2, man. Like, you throw it out
Yeah,
there.
I know. And then the piranha
Yes.
come for it. And also, you still got a keg stand to
Keg
do.
stand's
Well,
coming.
if they win 5 straight.
Yeah. Well, they're
Yeah.
40% of the way there.
I think-
This is the pivotal one now.
Yeah, get
This
this
is the
one.
pivotal one.
Well, I think the Florida one is going to be more difficult than people think.
Oh,
Well,
absolutely. But
yeah.
I'm saying you can't get to Florida. Won't matter if
It
you
doesn't
don't win
matter
this
if you
one.
don't win this one.
And I was actually going to bring that up when we were talking about how good their offense is and how well they played, especially the running game. But the difference in this game is Syracuse's defensive front is not great. I'm not going to try to
Break that
act
down.
like that's
Yeah.
true, but they will compete. And that's
Yeah,
going to
they're
be
not gonna
different than
quit.
what we just saw.
I think that's the thing about Syracuse. They were overrated when they found a way to win some games they shouldn't have won, and they, were undefeated. And so obviously at some point you have to pay attention to that. But if you actually watched them play, you'd say they're not real good, but they keep winning games. Now that they've lost 3 straight, they may be underrated going into this game because I do think they fight. I do think they do play hard, unlike what we just saw from Miami. I mean, they are they'll buckle up.
Yeah, but you're a better team.
You are.
And it's not going to be a crazy atmosphere because they're not 9-0. They're 6-3. It's going to be a sleepy 8:00 game, and 25,000-30,000 fans.
Have
will
we
be there
checked
maybe.
to make sure there's not a basketball exhibition that night?
I think that's the afternoon. They're hoping the fans stay there. No, it won't be an exhibition now. We're in
Yeah,
real
that's right.
basketball
That's
season, as you
right.
saw last night, Ira.
Hey, so the bottom line is, before the season started, right after the aforementioned exhibition game, Ira and I were at that game, and we had a little talk about this. Maybe a long season.
Let's make this segment. Let's talk about the basketball really short.
You do understand that
it's
I
the
brought it up.
45-3 game.
I brought it up with 3 minutes left in the segment. That's why I did it.
I feel like I need to get some Don Julio again.
But maybe before you step into the TLC double C, you need to have that Don Julio on you. Just put it in the glove box.
That was hey, but I'm not going to let that ruin. I'm not going to let that ruin 45-3. But yeah, that was pretty gross.
Well, but here's what I want to get out there, and we kind of touched on it. It's going to be gross. They're going to have a hard time.
Yeah, you think?
For these first 15, 16 games. They probably won't win against UCF. And then you're going to be 0-2.
Yeah, I mean, if they play like that, I don't know who they beat.
Well, they'll play better than that, but that was disgusting. It's one game, but it was disgusting. There's a lot not to like right there and a lot to find disconcerting. I don't disagree with the fan base. Like, I'm not jumping off a cliff here because it's a long season and we've seen teams get a lot better and a lot of teams lose games early in seasons where you're like, what the hell? But I'm worried. I'm really worried about the makeup of this group with the injuries that they've had, the suspension, all of that. I mean, that's not good.
For people that, that don't follow Florida State basketball in the offseason, which is probably a lot of Florida State fans. They brought in a guy from Brown, Jalen Gainey.
Really good player who's going to be a defensive presence.
Conference defensive player of the year 2 times, shot blocker, presence inside, great leader,
really athletic.
Senior. Just a dominant kind of guy at 6'10" inside. He blew out his knees out for the year. Baba Miller, one of the best international prospects in the country. He's ineligible for 16 games. That's why you said they'll get better later in the season.
Yeah.
They have a point guard who's injured. They have a couple other guys who are injured. So it's a mess right now, the roster-wise. They only played 8 guys last night. When's the last time you've seen that? But what bothers you is, man, just compete. And
that's it.
The frustrating thing about that team after they won the ACC and then they had a 4-year run where they didn't go to the NCAA tournament, it's okay. You miss some guys in recruiting, whatever it is. Sometimes those guys didn't compete, and it's just like, man,
That's how you lose people,
and it's not a Leonard Hamilton. I mean, that's just
it's not a Leonard Hamilton trait. That's how you lose people, though.
Can you fix that?
I don't know. I think the one guy that on that court that would not look out of place if he was playing 3 years ago is Worley. Just the way he competes and the way he tries to guard.
I think Cam Fletcher wants to compete.
Yeah,
too.
but he doesn't know what he's doing defensively. He still doesn't.
He's also still not completely healthy right now, which is another problem.
But Worley is the guy that definitely would. He'd be a rotation player. He'd fit in there. He plays.
He would have been on that. Remember the Boom Squad?
The Boom Squad. That's
energy
right.
guy.
Man, remember those days, Ira? Those halcyon days. So that's they don't. There's not a lot of culture of leadership and a lot of culture of. This is how we play Florida State bad. Like, think about they cut that score last night after all that nonsense.
They cut it to 3.
They cut it to 3 points, and then Stetson didn't miss a shot the rest of the game. Dunk, wide open
shots
three,
at the rim,
layup.
shots at the rim.
With the game on the line, you're giving up dunks and layups.
I would also,
Stetson.
and I really think that the Baba Miller thing is more than just the length and the skill set. That dude loved playing.
It's a spirit.
That guy is a fiery defensive presence. He loved it.
Before the game, when they go back in the tunnel, they come out for the warm-ups and they go back in the tunnel one last time to locker room before they come back out for the game. And as they're running by us, he lets out this primal scream like he's so excited. And dude's not even playing.
Yeah, which is heartbreaking. It's another reason the NCAA can go to hell. Just brutal, that suspension.
Miami won their game last night.
Did they?
But do you think Miami fans are feeling good or bad about things on Tuesday?
Yeah. We'll get back to 45-3 here in a minute after the break.
Did they win by 42 points?
They did not. No, they won by like 11.
I didn't think so. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Your local news now.
The state attorney has now upgraded charges in a deadly shootout in the parking lot of Halftime Liquors that left 1 man dead and 8 others hurt. Dedarius Cannon and Tamalyn Williams are now facing murder charges in the death of Demario Murray and attempted murder charges in the shooting of 8 other people. Campbell filed the new charges Monday morning, just 1 day after friends and family gathered to celebrate Murray's life. Tamalyn Williams and William Thomas are also facing charges for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. All 3 were arrested last week. A man sustained non-life-threatening injuries Saturday after a shooting outside the Gardens apartment complex on 401 Putnam Drive. According to Tallahassee Police Department, preliminary findings indicated the shooting was a result of an argument between the victim and suspect. The victim was transported to a local hospital for treatment. An investigation is still active and no arrests have been made at this time. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. 85 this afternoon under mainly clear skies, northeast winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies and quiet again tonight. Lows dip down to about 64. Daytime highs approaching 84 tomorrow. Lots of sunshine. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Wednesday with highs in the low 70s. Chance for scattered storms Thursday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 88.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Hey, Matt.
Yes, Greg?
You know all the different ways that you can listen to Real Talk 93.3?
There are several.
So we've got realtalk93.com. You can go back and listen to all of our shows in the podcast section.
That's right. You can also listen on our app as well.
Search Real Talk 93.3 and look for the red microphone and download our app. Never go anywhere without us.
And of course, you can always listen right on the radio.
Well, they are listening.
Are they?
If they're hearing this commercial, then they're listening.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
You guys know sports. You pick winners all the time, so why not get paid for them at MyBookie? MyBookie has the biggest online selection of odds and contests for all your sports betting needs. Anytime, anywhere, bet on the NFL, NCAA, or swing for the fences with the brand new Money Bag. The MyBookie Money Bag is a one-of-a-kind opportunity to spin for crazy odds and props as well as futures. Just place your bets, spin the wheel, get ready to score epic odds on the best teams, athletes, and events. Sign up free today. Use promo code WARCHANT. Claim a deposit match of any amount up to $1,000. Again, that's promo code WARCHANT to claim your deposit bonus and give yourself the competitive edge. It's not just a sports book. It's a community bet. Anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Ooh.
So, I mean, it's
Ooh.
Were you that good
Silky.
from day one, Jeff? Were you always
I
that
don't,
good?
I don't think so, but it's been so long. I may have been. I don't know. It's been so many years
You
of
never
being
lose
that
it.
kind of good.
You must never lose. You just don't lose it.
You know, and when you feel the spotlight hit you, like
Yeah.
I knew coming out of that break, it was read time and it was time to go. You saw the breathing exercises, the kind of stuff we do as champions.
Yeah, just wait to see what I do for hour number 2, Ira.
Have you gotten locked in yet?
I'm not locked in. Don't need to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait as soon as the spotlight hits me, I'm ready to go.
You don't want to get too hyped too early.
Right.
What you don't want to do is you don't want to think about what it might sound like if it doesn't sound good.
Right.
Like,
Oh, I
don't get that in your thought.
Trust me, buddy. I
Whatever
know.
you do, don't get that
I don't
thought
have
in your
those
head.
negative thoughts. It's all positive. It's like, oh, man, how much are they going to love what I'm about to do?
Visualize it, audiolize it.
Audiolize it. I'm going to audiolize
You can
it.
visualize. You can, you can picture it. You can hear it.
I'm going to hear it. I'm
Yeah.
going to hear it.
You got it in your
sounds
mind's
great.
eye as well.
Oh,
You got it in your, you're
Sounds
seeing
great.
yourself perform the act.
I'm seeing the reaction of you two and how the applause.
The celebration.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, the moment that a champion is reborn. Because it's been a minute. Nobody, I mean, there are a lot of people on this show now that were not listeners back the first time you did hour number 2.
I don't even remember what that was for. I think it was for going to the Rose Bowl. And then I think the next one might have been beating Miami in 16 and holding them under 20 points or something.
It could have been. It's been a minute.
6 years since we did it.
It's been a long time. Well, that's the way it should be. You're right, Corey. That's something you're right about. You know, that we can't just be willy-nilly out here hour number 2.
Well, here we are, 6-3, just beat Miami. But
Well,
I owed
45
it.
to
The
3.
4-0 start, too.
Yeah.
It was the 4-0 start that I blew.
I was up at Horizons Bar and Grill the other night.
Oh, nice,
And
man.
I tweeted the picture afterwards and
Well, you saw the sunset.
Yes,
That was-
yeah. Several people asked if I sang the song for a free meal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You
You've
don't
convinced
sing
people.
that, though.
I do not sing it, and I don't think it gets you a free meal.
It
But
does get you a free meal. You
it's-
wouldn't know.
But it's
I go through the door singing it at the top of my lungs, and they're like, this guy again.
Yep.
And then all the free food
Get a
comes my
shrimp.
way.
Get him a
Comes over
shrimp.
there. I get out there on that patio. I'm like, bring me all the shrimp. So every last one of those sunset shrimps you
I'd
got,
love to
bring
hear
them
one
out
of
here.
you sing it.
No, it's
We
never.
can't.
I know. Y'all aren't going
How
to
can
do
we
it. Y'all
match
would
it?
never do it. Y'all would
No.
never do it publicly.
No,
I'll
and
save
I
myself.
want to say something. Ira is enjoying this season immensely because I think 3 days a week you're at Horizons. Like there's a tweet every 72 hours, 48 hours at Horizons hanging out again. Like my guy lives.
We all need to get over there.
Well, it's great. It's a great place. I'm not knocking you. I'm just noticing that you're there far more frequently than you've been like the last couple of years when we were having middling seasons.
Hey, man, we're covering a winning program.
Feels
6
good.
and 3.
Feels good.
They-
Bowl team. Covering a bowl program.
That's correct.
One more win, gentlemen, and they'll have more wins than they've had in any season since 2016.
Eeks.
That hurts, doesn't it?
So if they get to 8 wins, what's like the
Well, they're going to get to
what's
8
the
wins.
basement of their bowl
I
possibilities?
don't know. We need to look that up.
It's looking more and more like they're going to be good enough to head over to the Gator Bowl, which you're going to be happy about.
Nice.
You get to
Nice.
go over to the
I do
always
think
lovely Jacksonville.
one challenge with all this, though, is because Clemson being Clemson and getting knocked out of the playoff,
Yeah.
that's going to
Man,
knock everybody else
That's
down.
what bothered me so much about that game that Florida State played against Clemson, because Clemson was ripe for that.
Mm-hmm.
Their offense wasn't very good. I
Yeah.
knew it wasn't very good.
They were good that night.
And
they-
you let them be good. And that's what was so frustrating about that defensive effort. If you'd have just played solid and not given up a 70-yard touchdown right out of the gate, maybe they
It would
look
have
like they spiral a little bit, because that's what they do.
it would have been good to be healthier up front.
Well, yes.
I think
Fabian didn't
if-
play.
if-
Yeah,
No, he
Fabian
didn't
didn't
play
play
in
in
that
that
game.
game. Yeah,
If
that's
you
true.
have the defense was out there Saturday or
Yeah.
against LSU, that game probably goes differently.
We talk about it a lot because when you are trending upwards and you're thinking about possibly winning 9 games, 10 games with a bowl win, you wonder about what could have been. Well, I mean, you can get wrapped up in that. You can't do that. Lots of teams have to deal with injuries and overcome them. It does remind you that, Fabian Lovett is a huge difference maker, but it also reminds you that Florida State's depth isn't where it needs to be a championship level team. It's just a good team right now, trending towards very good.
Right?
Yeah. But championship,
And I heard you talking about this yesterday on the wildly popular Jeff Cameron show from 1 to 3. It's still on.
Yeah, I know. Y'all just talked about you being on
it. You were saying that, that issue, that topic, you might get to a point at this point of the climb where you've got maybe 30 really good players or 35 really good players, but you just don't have that depth. And it goes back to that conversation we were just having about the offensive line, is that's got to get you excited because you may be in a situation where within the next year or so, you're bringing in the Julian Armellas and Jalen Earlys, and those guys are playing, and now you've got other studs behind them. And so if you do have an injury, you're not just trying to find a human being, which they 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, yeah. You literally just threw a guy out there because you have to. We're required to play this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody's going to have to play it. Yeah.
That is
Abdul, have you ever played offensive line before? No. Hey, you're big though.
Yeah.
Just try to stay in front.
We're going to need you to do that. Move your feet. No, it's tough because I think, you want to be careful about how you phrase it for people, because if a guy's thrown in before he's ready to play and then he plays poorly, we're apt to kind of blame him for getting beat on plays. But that's the way they were in a cycle where that was happening. And I was like, well, that kid's now ruined, sometimes physically, but also more so mentally. And some of these kids never recovered from just getting their ass beat by like a fourth-year junior who's been in this other program, eating, lifting, whatever steroids he's on, and just throwing you around. It's tough to recover from that. So, yeah, I do think that we're building towards that. When you watch the championship level teams, the teams that make the playoff, the teams that have a chance to win a national championship, you'll see guys get hurt there too. I mean, it happens, but then they're replaced by a 5-star kid who's been waiting in the wings for a year and a half, And so Florida State's got to get to that point. But along the way, you're watching a lot of guys get a lot better and gain confidence. It's going to be fun to see who comes back for this team as well.
Yeah. That's
a challenge because they could lose quite a few important keys, but they're also, I want to see what kind of uptick we get in recruiting now, because that's where a lot of our attention turns. All right, clearly the program's turning the corner. Can you solidify a top 10 recruiting class, something close to a top 10 recruiting class, and start to bring in these elite players?
Technically, when you look at the starting 22 that played on Saturday, there's only 3 that are seniors.
Right.
It's Cooper, Gibbons, and Emmanuel, right?
I think there's 4 or 5 seniors that start. Because I had it in my 3-2-1.
Who are the other ones?
I'd have to go back and look.
Oh, because Lovett could technically come back.
I don't think he will.
Well,
but if he plays well these last 3 games, I don't think
keep talking. I'll look it up.
Yeah, Jamie Robinson could technically come back theoretically.
Yeah.
Jordan Travis, Johnny Wilson, Trey, like all these guys could come back. And
I think quite a few of them will.
I do too. I don't, we get so caught up because we watch it in a vacuum, like, oh, he's pretty good players and underclassmen. I hope he doesn't go pro. It's like, man, there aren't a ton of underclassmen around the country that go pro. It's like 2 on a team usually. So I think Florida State fans are worried about 6 guys going.
So were you talking about defense or just in general?
In general.
There's Dylan Gibbons is a senior, Dimitri Emmanuel is a senior, Justin Turnentine's a senior.
Well, he didn't start. I was talking about,
but he is a starter. He just wasn't available.
I said specifically Saturday.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well, I'm talking about this big picture of this team who are starters. Them, Pokey Wilson, Cam McDonald. So that's 5 guys on offense that have been your core starters. And then Robert Cooper on defense, and Leonard Warner starts sometimes. But basically it's those 6 guys. Yeah, so all those other guys, there's a lot of juniors, there's a lot of even redshirt sophomores who've been in college now for 4 years because of the COVID year.
Yeah.
So
they're not all like elite NFL prospects. No, but they can make money coming back here.
Right. Yeah. There's a couple of those guys that I think are
for
more
starters,
likely
Jordan
to go.
Travis, though, you would want to bring him back. You've got money in your NIL to do so. Yeah. I think they'll offer that up big time.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to try to keep all those guys. But I guess my question is, most of those guys, the guys that we think that are integral to this team.
Well, I was just going to say, you name some guys on the list that.
No, I'm not talking about those. Those are guys who are graduating. I'm talking about guys that are, obviously
Fabian Lovett, Jared Burst, Jamie Robinson.
Johnny Wilson. I mean,
Johnny Wilson will come back. He has to, and I would think that Verse is going to leave. If you have a first-round grade, he's going to go.
If he has a first-round grade,
which right now apparently he does.
I mean, but those grades are nonsense right now.
It doesn't matter.
No, I get it.
Brett Williams was a first-round.
I also,
and we love you, Brett. Brett's a listener. We love you, Brett.
Yeah. But what I'm saying
like the big board had him in the first round, and then he didn't get drafted in the first round.
All I'd say is if you're projected to go in the first round, he probably goes.
For sure.
Probably goes.
It's just
and he's kind of a dynamic player. I can see why somebody might think that.
No question. But it's not like he doesn't have questions. And if you have questions, that leads to maybe not being a first-round pick. I mean, he hasn't played a lot of college
There's
football,
also,
even this season.
Well, I'm not the one projecting him, Ira. I'm
I
just
mean,
telling you, he's on 6 different boards in the first round. It's not one slapdick that's out there saying this.
But it's an echo chamber, man. Those guys are whatever.
Okay.
We'll see.
I want him to come back.
Yeah. No.
Well, here's the thing. He's not, in my opinion. Again, I'm with Jeff that I think if he's a first 2-round pick, he should go. But he's not Jermaine Johnson. And Jermaine Johnson barely got in the first round. He was the 27th overall pick.
Yeah.
Jared Verse is not as good as Jermaine
And
Johnson.
it played 2 years at Georgia before years here.
So Jared Verse being mocked because he's got some tackles for loss means literally nothing. It's what he does at the combine and what he does at his pro day, which he'll do well. But the point being, you have money now to make offers, reasonable offers to keep guys in school. You just do. It's part of this age we live in. And so a real interesting storyline for all these colleges moving forward is recruiting versus retention. What do you use that money on? Because I mean, right now, man, I think you look attractive enough in the portal that you don't have to go crazy there. But if you keep 6 of those guys we just mentioned, you're a top 12 team to start next year.
Oh, and I think they'll keep several of them. To Ira's point, I agree with you. I think they're going to keep several of them.
And you need some of them to leave to create room because you don't have a ton of seniors, and you're going to sign guys and you want more better players in the portal. But like the thing I wanted to position to you guys or posit to you guys before was how much does the fact of how much this team seems to like each other, how much the fact that they seem to enjoy every part of this, the coaches, they enjoy their teammates, they've enjoyed turning around a program, how much that will influence, or do you think it influences guys at all when they make a decision? Because the only reason I say that is, man,
maybe
the last
Jordan Travis, right?
The last 6 years, well, not the last 6 years, but the last 4 years probably that Jimbo was here, guys couldn't wait to get the hell out.
Correct.
If they could get out, they were gone. That's not going to be the case. Now, it's not going to keep a guy who's projected first round. But if a guy is projected 4th round or 5th round,
maybe
does that weigh in?
Yeah, I think
I would think it would.
Well,
especially if you do
for
get
for
paid.
the guys that are, where you're unsure if you're even going to be on a roster. Like, let's say you get drafted in the 5th or 6th round, no guarantees you're going to make it anywhere but the practice squad, maybe. And then you would figure out, is that your best path to your career or not? Or is it better to come back, put more on film, get paid $100,000 or whatever it might be for you, or more, obviously.
How about Tatum Bethune as an example?
Yeah, it's a good example. Perfect example.
He's a really mature guy who loves playing college football. Also
not
gets
a great
that he doesn't
NFL
have
prospect.
elite measurables, so
He's
he
not
can
gonna,
come
yeah,
back.
He's not going to do well at the combine.
No, he's a guy that I think could come back if he loves playing college football that much, and he's a vital piece to your puzzle. Sure.
And I think that's what's different is if the culture is not good, people aren't happy right now, or if you're not having success,
and
whatever,
gone
not
no matter
bought
what,
in,
right.
then man, if I can get out, I'm leaving. That's the perfect example of a guy who I think would stay that might not if things were going poorly.
I do like it is important that you want to go to work and play next to the guy, that you have to work so hard with, and play for the guy that is out there yelling at you every day. You got to believe he cares and loves you. And you do see a lot of that. And when you hear players say that, man, it warms the heart because it lets you know that he's created the right environment for growth and belief. It also helps in recruiting because those same kids are going to tell other kids, hey, man, it's pretty cool here. This guy will push you, but he loves you. And he's out here every day with you, and he's going to work hard with you to make you better. And I've seen it with my own eyes. That is important. I do think individually you got to look at each player's situation. You guys both know that, obviously. And then it gets interesting because I could love a coach, but if I know I have a chance to go in the first 2 rounds or something, then I may go because I don't know unless I can go from being middle of the second round to top 10.
That's what I was going to ask you because Corey definitely thinks like top 2 rounds versus should go. And I don't look at the number. I mean, he knows the salary structure much better than I do for the NFL. But like to me, if Jared Verse thinks he's a top 10 prospect at some point, wouldn't it be worth coming back if you're projected as possible 2nd round pick?
It would be. What is FSU going to pay me to come back?
You mean Rising Spear?
Sorry, you're right.
Right.
Completely
Right.
separate
The
entity. That's not.
Florida State doesn't even know what's going on.
They are unsure of any kind of money.
I'm sure they hope that Rising Spear.
Maybe Rising Spear, this independent collective that for whatever reason, benevolence perhaps, that just like FSU, want to offer up money. Yeah, how much am I getting paid by this independent collective Rising Spear to come back and play football, and my insurance policy and all that stuff? Like, what can I get?
He is just a sophomore too,
and he's a smart kid. And he made a mature decision to come to Florida State because from everything that we heard, He had
they had a huge board.
We had some, and he also had some opportunities to go elsewhere, and maybe some other independent organizations might have helped him out if he had gone there. So he chose Florida State because he saw what Jermaine Johnson did, and he just liked the way they talked to him during the recruiting process.
So just so you know, Jermaine Johnson being drafted, I think he was, what was he, 27th, 26th?
22nd.
I looked it up the other
week.
We
actually did this once before, and I think I said 22nd.
Yeah, I think it was later than that.
Well, double check.
But it was he got guaranteed a $14 million contract, which that's late first round, right? Like that's so top 10 would have to be guaranteed of 28 million at least. That now a second round pick probably guaranteed of probably 4 to 6.
So I mean that's a big deal.
It is it's $22 million, but the difference is this is a guy that's had a hard time staying on the field, and he's seen the injury risk of football.
But that's one of those questions.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a lot of film, and he's had some injuries.
But that's what the calculus he has to do in his head about what he. There you go. So 26. There we go. So that's what he has to figure out in his head is okay. I can go now and maybe be the 34th pick in the draft and be set. Or I could come back and be the 9th pick in the draft and make 5 times as much money. I'll be getting paid in the meantime by Rising Spear.
I was going to say, Florida State has nothing to do
I don't
with
know
this,
why
Corey. Why do you
saying
keep
that.
doing
It's ridiculous.
This? Yeah, you guys were right to correct me the
Rising
first time.
Spear, we don't even know what college they support. We don't even know what team they're rooting for.
But Verse is a perfect example, though, of what I'm talking about, where these kids who love being here.
Yeah.
Where in the press conference 2 weeks ago, when C.J. Campbell scored the touchdown, they brought him in, comes back from a season-ending injury, and they had them on the dais together. And at one point, like C.J. Campbell was talking, and Verse mumbled something to him, but I couldn't hear where we were sitting. I couldn't hear what he said. And I went back and watched it, and Verse turns to me and goes, "Man, you said broken fibula like 6 times." It was just funny. Like he's just a team. You know, it's just like he doesn't act. Jermaine Johnson, love Jermaine
He was
Johnson,
a pro.
unbelievable player.
That dude was a pro.
It wasn't that relationship.
No.
Nobody on that team had that relationship, and I think Verse has that relationship with all those guys. I mean, so it's a factor.
So what?
He's a first round pick, probably not a big factor.
Right.
So Johnny Wilson, Jared Verse, Fabian Lovett, Jordan Travis. So if we pooled our money together, is it 5 to keep them all?
5 million?
Mm-hmm. To keep them all?
No, it's less than that.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you said which 5?
Travis, Johnny Wilson, Fabian Lovett, Jared Verse. Just 4.
Yeah, it's less than 5.
I was saying 1.25 each.
It's less than 5 million. Yeah.
Okay. But more than 1.
More than 1 million. Yes. Yeah.
But if Rising Spear wants to make it happen,
right.
Fans
you
that contribute to them
Yeah.
want to make it happen. Look, man, here's the thing. This team, if a bunch of those guys come back, will likely be the preseason, unless Clemson figures out the quarterback situation, will likely be the preseason pick to win the ACC.
Yeah.
If you bring back the bulk of
nucleus,
this team, you might be the preseason ACC. And then now you're talking about a contender to be in the playoff. If a bunch of those dudes go, man, now it could be a step back.
I think
there's a lot on the line in those decisions.
It's exciting, though, because with each passing victory is the opportunity, A, to replace those players with others in the transfer portal if need be, because now you're a draw again, and or their desire to stick around may very well rise as well because you're winning games and you got a chance to achieve something truly special. Hour number 2
is
forthcoming from our man Corey Clark, as well as headliner questions. That's next. Stay with us. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
Jeff, look at this beautiful day, man.
Yeah, it's getting a little chilly. I like it. You know, I'm a colder weather guy, but I worry about it for you because you can't wear the Speedo in the cold. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to wear a Speedo in the cold.
Jeff, it's always Speedo weather, man. We can always do this. Besides, my pool, it's heated.
Which means you're insufferable in a Speedo year-round?
Cannonball!
Still gross. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Siri, tell me a joke. The past, present, and future walk into a bar. It was tense.
All jokes aside, the trained professionals at Mac & More Systems are serious about Apple products. For all your Mac repairs, call Mac & More Systems at 894-3622. 894-3622.
Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless with zero gravity. All of your worries and stress melt away. Your mind stops racing and you fall into a profound state of pure relaxation. This is available to you right now at Tallulah Delta 8 Plus Floating in Railroad Square for just $50. These state-of-the-art floating pods are unlike anything else you've ever experienced, and while you're there, you can shop for some of the latest and greatest CBD and Delta 8 products on the market. Natural pain management, stress relief, and better sleep are all at your fingertips at Tallulah. Tell them Jeff Cameron sent you, and thank me later.
If you're like most Americans, you can see things are out of control. Global problems have local consequences, too many of them. And if the next news headline spins us into chaos, you better be ready. Grocery store supply chains are only as strong as their weakest link. Don't wait for them to break. Today is the day to secure emergency food for everyone in your family. My Patriot Supply is America's largest preparedness company. Our specially packaged and delicious food stays fresh for up to 25 years in storage. It'll be there when you need it. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and pick up several emergency food kits. There are a dozen different sizes that average over 2,000 calories per day. As we all know, calories equals energy equals survival. And as you'd expect from a true preparedness company, our food kits are in stock and ship quickly. Those who know what's coming are preparing today. Go to mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
Leaky faucet, busted pipes, clogged toilet? M&L Plumbing is here for you. For all commercial, construction, and residential plumbing issues, call M&L Plumbing at 575-9393 or visit online at mnlplumbing.com.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour. From townhall.com, I'm John Scott. Millions of Americans across the country heading to the polls today to cast their votes in the high-stakes midterm elections, with several close races that could decide the balance of power in Congress. Julie Walker reports.
In swing state Pennsylvania, the race for Senate between Democratic Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman and Republican TV celebrity Dr. Mehmet Oz is only 1 or 2 percentage points apart. Contest could well decide the Senate majority. The same for the race in Georgia. Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock and Republican challenger, former NFL star Herschel Walker, will help determine which party controls a Senate now divided 50-50. And in Arizona, Democratic Senator Mark Kelly is locked in a tight re-election race against Republican Blake Masters. I'm Julie Walker.
Also at townhall.com, former President Trump will be making a big announcement next week in Florida.
Former President Trump teased a third presidential run while campaigning in Ohio Monday night ahead of the final day of voting in this year's midterm elections. He told a cheering crowd in Ohio that he's going to be making a very big announcement on Tuesday, November 15th in Mar-a-Lago. The former president was headlining a rally to bolster Senate candidate J.D. Vance, and he said he didn't want to detract from the importance of Election Day by making his own campaign announcement beforehand. Tasha Stevens reporting.
Nicole is strengthened to a tropical storm as it churns towards the northwestern Bahamas and Florida's Atlantic coastline. Many areas still reeling from damage caused by Hurricane Ian, which hit Florida's southwestern Gulf Coast as a Category 4 storm in late September. Nicole would not make any landfall in Florida until late Wednesday or early Thursday. The Dow is ahead 221 points and the NASDAQ up 24. More on these stories at townhall.com.
I'm Lance Wallnau, Christian author and evangelical leader, here to remind you that God's gifts should never be taken for granted. Take, for example, your retirement savings. You've worked hard for your money, and God has rewarded you for that. Now, with record inflation eating away at the value of the U.S. dollar, those rewards are literally being taken from you. But there is a way the faithful can fight back. By diversifying your retirement account into gold, your savings can be protected. And that's what God wants. Even better, a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group allows you to transfer your current retirement funds into gold without fees or penalties. To see how it works, text the word faith to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold IRAs. That's faith to 989898. Take action right now, and I pray that your family is blessed with continued prosperity.
The cooler temperatures are finally here. Thank goodness. Summer is now in our rearview mirror. With the cooler temperatures, we're going to need someplace to warm up. Hearth and Patio can help you with that, whether it's a fireplace, a fire pit, or even warming up while you're grilling for your family. Hearth and Patio can help you with all of these. Give them a call today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning, and they keep us warm.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
It's time for Seminole Headlines, featuring Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron, managing editor Ira Schofel, and senior writer Corey Clark. Your weekly dose of all things FSU, pistols, and pies starts right now. Here's Jeff Cameron.
It's hour number 2 of the Seminole Headlines. You see Jeff, you see Ira, Dr. Birch in the house. Let's go.
I think you started too early. The music was still too
Was it
loud.
going? Oh, sorry.
It was
gang.
good. It was fun. I just like you trying to be the assertive director
I
of
took
this ship.
control.
But he also did you go with the It's hour number 2?
I think so. Yeah.
It used to be just
Hour number 2? Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's hour number 2.
Yeah, it's just a reminder of why we love it. It's just so good.
You got it, people. You've been
did
asking.
it. You did it. Now what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Now what are we going to
Cake
do?
stands.
We're
Cake
gonna
stands.
let that marinate for a second. We're gonna sit there and
Wallow
enjoy
in
this.
it. Just-
What we're gonna do. That's good. That's good. All right. It is hour number 2. as
Yeah,
the
that's
man
right.
said.
Yep,
It
I
is.
nailed that.
Yeah.
There's nowhere for you to even go.
No, don't want to go. Don't want to go anywhere. I want to sit there with it for a few minutes. You mentioned Birch Orthodontics.
I did in
Yeah.
passing. In passing.
You said that. You did. Ira, take it away with Birch.
Birch Orthodontics. I'm rattled, man.
Yeah,
I'm
he
rattled.
shook. He shook.
Birch
No, all shook.
Orthodontics is your choice and your family's choice and everybody's choice. Everybody that knows what's going on, send your family to Birch Orthodontics. You will not be disappointed. Dr. Heather Birch is got to be on top of the world right now after that Miami win.
Oh my goodness. I can't wait to see her again, which will be soon. My kids are there on the regular, which is not bad because all the checkups are free, so I'm not complaining.
It's all part of the
it's all
plan.
part
I've
of the
got
plan.
something to throw in. Stephanie took her son. Her son broke a bracket
Ooh,
yesterday.
Yeah, it happens.
Or maybe a couple days ago, but she called yesterday telling her about the bracket being broken. Got him in today.
Oh, yeah,
That's how quick it works at Birch Orthodontics.
And that's the thing. It's great customer service, but also great orthodontic work. Very professional.
the thing.
Payment plans, just unbelievable practice. BirchOrthodontics.com is the website. BURCH orthodontics.com. You got to spell orthodontics on your own. I'll help you with the BURCH.
You got that.
You got to
part.
figure out the rest. And call, get a free consultation. They'll take care of you.
So Marcus writes, so proud of you, Corey. You made that your own. There you go.
Thank you, Marcus. I
He
appreciate that.
threw some money at you too, man.
That's right,
Marcus
you did.
was
Yeah,
impressed.
Thank you, Marcus.
$2 for you, Corey. There you go. Insert Barkley voice, Corey. That was terrible. That's what got from Texas.
Nuts. It's a lot better than my last one.
They're all fun. They're
Yeah.
all fun. It's good to hear you give it a go.
Thanks, man.
Let's get to some questions. I want to go back. I can't wait to the commercial break because I want to go back and listen to that. All right, where do we start? We'll start with Facebook today. I switch it up off and on. I know that's going to disappoint Ira, but in honor of Corey's hour number 2, we're going to start there. There you go. Matthew writes, illustrious, entertaining, and informed triumvirate. Does this blowout of Miami make you think about what this team could have done in that 3-game stretch with Fabian Lovett and Jared Verse at full strength? In that scenario, FSU is 7-1 or maybe even 8-0 and potentially playoff bound. The team that beat the team in game 1 that just beat Alabama. Is this fool's gold, or are we really this close to being a top 5 or to being on a 5-game win streak? I think Florida State's a really good football team. I think they are a top 15 football team. I think that they're capable of beating most teams in the country on the right day. I think they are close to being really, really good. LSU's a lot better than they were when we played them in week 1, but so is Florida State. So I think that game would be great again. And if LSU's beating Alabama, I think Florida State could be there.
That's what I'm saying is like, I think, we try to be pragmatists.
I think
we try to be realists.
Georgia and Ohio State, I think, are the only ones that Florida State would be just maybe in the fourth
probably
quarter.
Not physically capable.
Not beating them, but within two scores of them.
And I think some people listen to this and think, man, what are you guys talking about? Think about this, okay? They went to NC State when their quarterback was still healthy and dominated that first half. I mean, they should have won the game.
But they didn't.
But that was at a top 15 team in a tough environment.
Yeah.
And
when they still had their quarterback,
and should have
probably.
Well,
they did knock him out for the entire second half, basically.
And should have won that game. You beat LSU in New Orleans.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
I think Florida State's really good.
And Louisville's not bad either, and you beat Louisville with a backup quarterback in the second half. Like there's some really good feathers in your cap already.
It's weird too, because I think with Florida State, what I would do is I would look at certain matchups being more problematic than others. Anybody that plays Georgia has a problematic matchup because they're physical, they're deep, they're talented. All right, fine, put that over here. Ohio State would give Florida State real problems because of the receiving core, and I don't think these corners would cover those receivers. That would be a long day at the office, I do believe. Now, I think Florida State's offense would score, but I think they'd give up a ton of points to Ohio State.
Yeah.
And then you get into individual matchups where I'm like, no, Florida State would win that game even though that team is higher ranked than Florida State. And then other matchups I go, that team would give Florida State a problem even though
the
they're
point is
not,
that they're in the game with all these teams.
Yes.
They can play. Like, look, man, if they played Michigan 10 times, they might win 1 or 2, but they wouldn't be blown off the field. 2 years ago, they've been blown off the field by 80 teams. So now they're at a point where I think realistically from 3 to 35, they're in the mix with those teams and can beat any of them. But probably lose to any of them.
Hey, as of last week, Clemson was the number 4 ranked team in the country. You can be incredulous if you want to, but Florida State is in that game at the end against Clemson.
Outgained them by 100 yards.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, I mean, again, that was the 4th team in the country. Whether they deserve to be or not is a different argument. They were, and Florida State was right there with them each of the last 2 years.
I feel like I felt this way at the time, and I still feel like it. The NC State and Wake Forest games are games that Florida State should have won if they played well, if they had their whole team, whatever. Clemson's the game where Clemson plays like that on offensively the way they did, they're going to be harder to beat. I mean, DJ, just the last couple of weeks has not played the way he did against Florida State.
But maybe he doesn't if Fabian Lovett's playing in that game and they're getting pressure and they're able to take away Shipley in the run game. You know what I mean?
Back to the question. I don't think that Lovett and Verse would have had a big impact. The reason he lost to NC State wasn't your defensive line.
Right.
Those other two, you can make that argument for sure.
Certainly Wake Forest, you can make the argument. You could have collapsed that mesh.
NC State because you gave up 17, whatever, you gave 19 points. You gave up 1 touchdown.
They kind of choked in that game. The moment got to be too big for them. They kind of did.
And the receivers just didn't.
Yeah, the receivers
they dropped a ton of passes. And Jordan didn't play well either. So there was a combination of things there. Scott writes, are you worried about Anthony Richardson, or do you think the defense will step it up like it has in the past couple of weeks? I'm worried about Anthony Richardson. I don't know how anybody wouldn't be. He's really good when he's healthy and he decides to play hard. He's a problem. He's a freakish athlete. And, I'm worried about it. I think Florida State would win that game, but I also think it's going to be a really high-scoring game. As I sit here today, I think Florida State wins that game something like 38-31 or something like that. It's a pretty high-scoring game.
I think Florida State has the better offense, and I think Florida State has the better defense. But it's marginal with the offense. Like Florida's offense, when they're playing well, can score. Now, it also is hard to know. It's hard to put too much stock into what they did Saturday.
That's the big question I have.
Let's see what they look. They got South Carolina this week.
A&M's, that was their 5th straight loss. They had all those
30 players out,
kids out, 11 starters, I think, out. I mean,
but we've seen pockets of play from Anthony Richardson.
He's a talent.
He's a talent,
including last year in the Swamp.
Yeah. Brandon writes, rapid predictions back next year, yes or no? Travis,
yes.
Verse,
no.
I'm not. I'm abstaining. I'm not.
What?
I'm not. Because I'm not even sure about Travis. I'm not sure about any of them.
Well, I mean, we could be wrong. I mean, I get things wrong all the time, but I get things right. You do too. We're in this business. We're out here. Hey, man, it's the man in the arena.
That's right.
That's what the hell we're doing. It's not these broken clocks out here trying to tell you every time you're wrong. Look here, man.
You're right. Corey did step up for the hour number 2.
So. Yeah. Right. So what do you got?
What do you got?
I think he's back.
Okay.
I'll say no. I think he's gone. Fabian.
No.
I think he goes.
Johnny.
Yes.
Stays.
Pittman.
Yes.
Benson.
Yes.
Jamie.
No.
McCall.
Is that really one of them?
Yeah.
That's really funny. That's well done.
Yes. I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to say no.
No freaking idea.
No,
he goes. That's an abstain.
It's an abstain.
Yeah.
Bethune.
Yes.
Yes.
Caden Lyles.
I think he's going to try.
All right.
Well, might as well.
Yeah.
Might as well try. Yeah. All right.
That's not a bad nucleus coming back, gang.
Greg writes, worst home loss for Miami this year. Middle Tennessee State, 8 turnovers against Duke, or the worst home loss in the history of the FSU Miami rivalry. I vote FSU, says Greg.
That's a tough one, though. Those are all three competing.
Well, Duke was a rivalry game as well.
That's
so
true.
That's tough.
That's
true.
that situation. And you could tell the moment got too big for them that when they're playing the big Duke rivalry game. So I can understand that. But it's got to be. I guess it's still got to be Florida State, right? Because people were actually there to see it. If you get blown out in the forest and nobody, what is that? What is that saying? Yeah. Does it really make a sound?
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're getting blown out in front of when your stadium's actually full, that's tough.
So A. Wright donated to the cause here, guys, and he writes, Jeff or Ira?
Corey, you're out of this because you're body by Corey now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
I'm actually getting a little worried. You're skinny.
I'm not skinny.
You're
I'm lean.
Straight up skinny.
I'm lean.
Let's
I'll take off the shirt and you'll see that I'm lean.
No, get
it
some
just
food
looks
in
like
you, man.
I'm skinny. I'm
you
lean.
Look like you're about to perish. I'm worried about you. Get some food in you. Who would win in a barbecue eating contest versus Jimbo Fisher? You have to eat the sides too, not just the meat like the ribs and register sausage.
So
Jimbo. So this is obviously a fat joke on Jimbo's expense.
Do you remember?
Kind of on y'all's expense too. I don't know.
I suppose.
Take umbrage to that.
Yeah.
When you were in college, did you guys ever do the Sonny's All You Can Eat?
I did any barbecue all you could eat.
So
anybody. Yeah.
My buddies and I would do that in Gainesville back then. I mean, the dinosaur times. I think it was like $5 or something.
Oh,
something like that.
Yeah.
And then they'd bring you the plate. It's the barbecue. Then you get fries and beans or whatever. And then garlic bread, and then they come back and they want to give you all the fries, and we're like, no,
man,
I just want chicken.
Just bring the chicken or the ribs or whatever. Yeah,
keep that bread, keep that with beans. I'm good. I just want more chicken. And then they start bringing you like less pieces at a time.
Oh yeah, they're trying to
here's a wing. Here's a wing.
Just throw that. Yeah,
here's a wing. See if you're full after that.
Also, see if you can entice them into eating a salad. Tom writes, now that we might end up as the SEC West champion this year, do you think that that will help our SEC application? I'm worried that our application is already being scored down because our fans have teeth. Tom just taking shots.
Just the whole conference.
Yeah, just taking shots. Now, hey, listen, at this point, it's great every time LSU wins. Looks good for us.
Helps the RPI. Helps the RPI out. Yeah.
In all seriousness, yeah. I mean, this is what they need. They need to be relevant because that proves that they're committed. And whatever this new world of college football is going to be, you want to be one of those.
You want to be relevant. Yeah, absolutely. Brian writes, hey guys, great win and suck it, Miami. My question is, who decides on the uniform combinations? Don't get me wrong. I love the garnet pants. They're great. But how about we get the traditional gold pants more than we've been doing lately? Maybe on the road. As always, you guys are great. Keep up the amazing work. Thanks, Brian. I love those garnet pants. I always have.
I do too.
I love them when they wear them. I think it's a great look. Yep. I thought they looked spectacular on Saturday night, not just because they beat Miami senseless, but those pants are sweet with the white. I love it.
I think ultimately Norvell? It's Norvell, but he's got some, he's got his equipment guy. He's got, I think he listens to maybe some of the players and the coaches and like what
Nike
people
probably
are
has
thinking.
a
Nike
say.
for sure. But ultimately it's the head coach.
Hello, boys. What a win. I set my work email to automatically send out a question asking Miami fans there if it was 2-15 or 45-3. Not to be too negative.
It is 45-3 right now, isn't it? Or is it?
Is that right?
It looks like it's 44-3 now.
That's right.
Oh man, we missed it. It was 40. It just was 45-3 now.
Well, you got the whole year.
You're right. We can do it next show.
We can do it. But just wondering, what was up with some of the miscues on the interception? Did Jordan overthrow it, or as I think, was the route not run hard enough the whole way? Phrasing. There was once or twice that Jordan decided to call an inside run that didn't work. Not that it mattered. Other than a couple of plays here and there, we did whatever we wanted to do. Outside game plan by the head coach, outstanding implementation by the staff, and outstanding execution by the players. What a game. Well, not every play's going to work, Rob.
Yeah, and the interception, the receiver got checked. Like the DB, kind of body checked him and then finished the route, but it wasn't egregious.
Yeah.
You'd like the receiver maybe to be a little stronger on the route, but I don't know that you'd say.
And Travis gave him like a kind of a quick thumbs up to Pokey, almost like Travis was blaming himself, like he had done something wrong. But I don't know what it was. I will say this: I think Jordan has had a really fantastic year. He's a very good quarterback. He was good in that game. He's been good all year. I don't like the throws he makes. The post down the middle of the field. So sometimes he overthrows them by 15 yards. That one to Pokey, he almost over.
But that's a dime.
It's a great throw,
and he runs through the route, which is important.
Yeah,
he
it's
runs through
perfect.
the ball.
But he doesn't like the touchdown the sideline. Remember last year, all his best throws
those
down
are in
the
the bucket,
sideline, right in the bucket. He seems to still struggle a little bit with the deep post routes. Like
I think
he overthrew Johnny a couple times. Where it's like, man, just lay it out there and let him go get it. You don't have to be perfect.
Some of that is two things with him, and he has this from time to time. There's no perfect quarterback. I think some of that's height. I don't think he always sees it. And then secondly, his mechanics break down from time to time. Just it's all right, but he's come so far as a passer that it's hard to really.
Yeah, you guys can bring this up to NIL negotiation. Like
negotiation. That's exactly.
We're trying to talk the number down.
You need to work on this.
Jordan, we know you might be an All-American candidate next year, but we don't like what you're doing with the deep posts.
Greg writes over under 50% that the Noles win the ACC next year. Or the percentage chances that they win the ACC next year.
I mean, just based on guessing on who comes back.
Yeah.
Do we even know the schedule?
No, because it's going to be different.
So we don't even know who they're playing.
Getting rid of the division.
So they might not play NC State next year or teams like that.
I think that's accurate. I would say I'm going to put them in at 60%. I think they're my favorite right now.
Okay.
If Jordan, because I'm assuming Jordan's going to come back, and to me that would put them over the top. Unless Clemson
trending in the wrong direction.
Get the quarterback out of the portal.
I've said this before when it came to Leonard. Because I do agree that if Jordan Travis comes back and most of this offense comes back, I think
I think Florida State could win the ACC next year.
I think they're anywhere from 40 to 60% favorite.
Sure.
I mean, they go in probably as the number 2 team, but whatever. If you're Mike Norvell and you're making $5 million, do you chuck just $1 million out of that?
Give that to Rising Spear for however they want to use it.
However they want to spend
it. Even though they're unaffiliated.
Well, right, like he's just
donating $1 million.
He doesn't really even understand what Rising Spear does.
But he wants to give them $1 million.
The Rising Spear guys could take that to Vegas for all he knows.
Yeah,
he doesn't know.
Can I work for Rising Spear if Mike does that?
Yeah,
and I'll make sure it gets to the right.
Wouldn't it be good for his career in the long term to fill Rising Spear with as much, or all the collectives with as much money as possible?
Really, it would do all of us a lot of good
Mike,
to help this separate entity out. That inexplicably wants to help Florida State. It's amazing. Tom writes, is FSU primed to retake its rightful place as the dominant ACC program?
All right, guys are fired up about that win over Miami. I like it because of the way it looked.
But there's a couple of things here, and Tom is he's been a long-time listener, and he asks good questions all the time. And he goes on to say, I see cracks in Clemson's program.
Clearly.
We agree. We started to see this a year
ago.
That's
a bad loss, man. That's not.
Well, it's not just that. They got bullied and a bunch of different things. And we've seen glimpses of them look like ass. So,
and it's very much what we saw here. Right. You lose your top assistants, and then you start just hiring from within, and it's hard to maintain, man.
Maybe Dabo will pray about it. And then next, Miami is poorly coached, and I don't think Mario is anywhere near the recruiter he used to be, or he's made out to be. Well, we'll see. Right now, he's got a good class in line, but it's year one and new car smell and all that good stuff. So
I just don't. Other than
I don't
the
think
money,
it's a good game day.
Other than the NIL money, legitimately, I can't fathom being at that game on Saturday night and then going to any other Miami game that's ever played and be like, yeah, this is where I want to go spend my college career. There's nobody at the game.
It's going to be an interesting thought experiment in the sport of what happens in this NIL world with these teams that are depending heavily on NIL, because like you look at Texas A&M. How is he managing this? How many of those freshmen he has to suspend? I mean, it's like 5 or more.
Well, there are guys in the transfer portal. You wonder how many of this class that he just signed, which is considered to be the greatest class ever signed, how many of those guys stick around? You've got a lot of issues.
If that is the driving force, but how you're putting together your team, that's a different dynamic than any college coach has ever had to deal with.
Yeah.
So we'll see how Mario navigates it. But it could be. I mean, that could be difficult.
Be on the wrong end of a couple more 45-3 ass kickings, and it's really hard to manage those classes.
And it's also easier, I think, when you're spending most of your money on retention, because I think
those are guys that did it.
Those guys that have done it, and they deserve it.
Van Dyke at ACC kickoff was asked about how does he feel about NIL, some of these NIL deals for recruits, and he said it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
he said if you haven't played college football yet, you should not be getting more money than the guys that already. Well,
correct.
That's a quarterback on your team saying that publicly after Miami's just clearly paid to get guys who haven't played before.
All right. By the way, the 2023 schedule is out.
Oh, all right.
Is that? I don't know if that's accurate, man.
Well, I'm not reading that.
ACC doesn't put out their schedules until
like January. Or
hold on.
There's some stuff floating out there, but I don't believe that's accurate.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, I'm looking up here on the Googles, and not listening to a guy on the board here. And it's LSU. We do know in Orlando, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come and get some.
This is all we
Brian
have.
Kelly.
So according to Google, could be wrong, you have LSU on September the 3rd. You have Southern Miss on September the 9th. In November, you have North Alabama and Florida, of course. And then the ACC, you have at Boston College, at Clemson, Miami, and Syracuse. Those are the only ones we know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's the permanent
The
teams
permanent
you're
teams,
gonna play,
that's
but then
right.
there's other ones you don't know.
Right.
Who's their partners? It's Miami, Clemson, and who?
It's just Clemson, Miami,
They
and,
have
and
another one.
Syracuse. Yeah, Syracuse. Those
So,
three.
but
Now,
they got to
it
go
is-
to Boston too again. Like
If you do
No,
look,
no, where do you see Boston?
he just said, at
no,
Boston
at
College
Boston College.
is one of the four.
Yeah.
that they know for sure.
I thought Syracuse. Was it Syracuse?
I think
or-
it's Syracuse.
Yeah,
is their,
I think it's
their-
Syracuse.
But
their
they're
third
also
partner.
on
But they're
here.
Syracuse. He said Syracuse too.
So this is interesting because if you go to football schedules, which we've all looked at before, when you do that, the future football schedule for 2023 is up. Now, I don't know how accurate this is, and there are a lot of dates to be determined.
No,
but
I mean, I don't. That's cool that they have it. I'm just telling you, I don't think that that's been out there yet. I mean, they've never in the history of the ACC have they put out the schedule. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've never.
so they
seen
have
it.
at Pitt, they have Virginia Tech here, Duke here, at Wake, Syracuse here, obviously Miami here, at Clemson.
Kevin A is saying that they did release all the opponents for the last 3 years.
Yeah,
That's totally
So-
new.
that is. So there it is.
Shut it, Ira.
Yeah.
So they got That's a
Oh,
that's
hey,
a, that's
hey,
a 10-win
breaking news.
schedule.
Let's break the schedule down. You want to do W's and
That's-
L's?
It's not breaking news. It's right. That when they did the change, they did announce them. I
That's a
just totally
10-win.
forgot about
You
it.
hear that schedule? You weren't even listening to what he was saying.
Read it out again.
Read it
All
again.
right, here's the schedule. That this is out of order,
Yeah.
save for the September 3rd and
Pay
9th.
attention to those ACC
Okay,
games.
so first of all, the out of conference to start the year, you have LSU in Orlando, September the 3rd. September the 9th is Southern Miss. Okay. Then late in the year, your out of conference games are North Alabama and at Florida. Okay. Now, here's the ACC. You are, in no particular order, at Boston College, at Clemson, home to Miami, home to Syracuse, at Wake, home to Duke, home to Virginia Tech, at Pitt.
So, man, you got to navigate a couple of games there.
I like this.
I like that schedule.
I like that schedule
That's
a lot.
Not the best home schedule
That
I've ever heard
Virginia
of.
Tech team is terrible.
Yep.
Duke is Duke.
Boston College
is butt sorry. Miami is worse than Boston College. You know, the at Pitt game might be tough.
That'll be
obviously.
fun. It'll be the
That'll
10-year anniversary.
Hey,
of,
I can't wait to go
the
back to
Jameis game.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll do it right while baseball season's still going. We'll go back to a game together, buddy.
I can't wait.
Remember that clown sitting behind us that ruined our picture?
No.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I remember
That
the
was
game.
me.
It
That was me.
awesome.
Don't call me a clown.
Ira.
Don't ever call
Don't
me a
talk about
clown.
Ira like that.
Now I'm here.
He's in the room.
He thought we were
My
we were taking a picture with him.
Hey, guys.
Oh, so some kid staring off in the distance. He ruined the picture.
Oh.
I sent it to you one time. You're like, "Oh, that kid ruined it." I was like,
Oh, well,
hey,
sorry.
that's all I see.
But
now.
all I remember
now
is
I see
the
that
trip
kid.
to
That's
win,
good.
the trip with Jameis.
Seminole Headlines 93.3 Real Talk Radio Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
So let's say you're considering buying a new home in the current climate. All heard that demand is high, inventory is low. So how do you get a leg up on the rest of the buyers all making offers on the same house as you? Oh, that's a toughie. But the first place I'd suggest you start is with a call to my friend Shannon at Legendary Home Loans. Shannon will set you up with a complete pre-approval underwriting. It used to be an upgrade, but nowadays it's got to be standard. You want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, you need a TBD full underwriting approval from Legendary Home Loans. You'll shorten or even remove your financing contingency, and the sellers will know that your offer is real and ready to go. It's tough out there these days, folks, so why not have the advantage of a proven winning team in your huddle? Get pre-approval underwriting from my friend Shannon with the one and only Legendary Home Loans. Call now. 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
Over 50 years ago, when Paul Nicholson founded Paul's Termite and Pest Control, he had one goal in mind: provide the best service possible to his neighbors so they felt like family. Your problem was his problem, so today it's our problem. Paul's service area is our home. It's where our kids go to school, where we shop, and where we get involved with community organizations. So if some out-of-town company knocks on your door and begins pressuring you to sign an agreement for termite or pest control, you can bet on a few things. Number one, you'll never see that person again. Number two, your technician is likely to change often. And number three, your money will not stay in North Florida. These companies are sending your money to home offices in Atlanta, Orlando, Salt Lake City, or even Great Britain. Paul's Termite and Pest Control knows local means something to you. The health of your Tallahassee home, family, and pets is our number one priority. For the elimination of termites and pests and a greener lawn too, call your local company with local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
This is Andy Cohen. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. Who's protecting you? Give me a call. 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. Helping you is what we do best.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Got to find this one that we just had from Preston before I read Mark's, and we'll get to that. Yeah, it's Corey. How did FSU not hire you as the voice of the Noles with those pipes?
Exactly right.
Either way, I'm glad we can all agree now that Jordan Travis is better than Bryce Young.
Correct.
Hashtag thank you, Corey. Hashtag Pipe King.
Pipe King. Come on now. Let's calm down with that, P. Simpson. It's not a bad nickname. I'll be honest with you. It's not the worst I've ever heard.
Starring Pipe King.
Yeah.
Oh, I hardly know her. Goodness gracious. Mark writes, Jeff, your prediction of a beatdown in Miami was spot on. Any side bets with the Warchant staff you're collecting on? No, didn't have any bets with my guys at Warchant. How do you guys think the 2023 roster will compare to the current roster, as good or better?
If we're right on the ones that are coming back, then it'll be better.
It could be better.
Yeah.
But, they could also get hit really hard, and it might not be better.
I am so curious to see how this recruiting class winds out, because I do think there's some transfer portal guys that they could bring in here. This has got to be a destination now for a lot of those guys who are looking around and seeing case after case after case of not just success, but like huge leaps forward and opportunities in the NFL, winning. Now they're winning football games to go along with it. Now you're not just a culture guy or building towards something else. Like, you can come here now and actually think that you can win a conference championship and play in a playoff. Like, that's different. Jermaine didn't come here thinking that was going to happen. He came here because it was an opportunity to lead, to start, and maybe obviously elevate his stock for the NFL. But now guys can do all those things and win.
The most amazing thing of all this, though, is because the challenge of bringing guys into the portal, into your program, is you're telling current guys on your team that you're not good enough.
That is the hard part.
Or you can't win right now. We can't win right now with you. But what's amazing is, look at guys like Brendan Gant and Sidney Williams. They were starters at safety a couple of years ago. Now they're like backup linebackers. But Brendan Gant now plays like starter reps. He's playing all the time at linebacker. And
that was another I just wanted to interrupt real quick before I forget. One of the coolest plays I thought of that game was Benson's first long run on the second drive of the game. Sidney Williams is running stride for stride down the sideline with him, celebrating with him. Sidney Williams didn't play a meaningful rep in that game.
And he's the guy who used to start.
And he used to start. That's cool to see, man. That's cool to see.
So this allows us to expound on a larger point, which is the job that Mike has done. We talked a lot at the beginning because it was the only thing we could hang our hat on. Now they have actual wins, and they're building towards something even better than that on the field in terms of maybe competing for a conference championship, et cetera. We said it would all start with him flipping the culture, and that meant something. And I would say it on the air sometimes after a loss. Well, at least he's flipped the culture. They're not going to quit. We'd fall back on that. But it's a damn big deal to have kids that want to put in the work, the time and the effort, and who love each other and who care deeply about all of this, the whole process. And Mike, after some bad losses, decided that they were going to do it this way, that he was going to remain unwavering. I bring it up all the time. It was a big deal to me, and I think it is to those kids, that even after Jacksonville State, he's like, look, that should never happen. That's on me. Took responsibility, but it said, we're going to build this the right way. Nothing changes. It could have been a lot easier in that moment to ditch whatever it was you were selling in that moment if it were not, built on solid ground, solid footing, and taking a shortcut. But he didn't do it.
Real quick, Timmy asked in the chat, because I just mentioned that in passing, the Sidney Williams working at linebacker is just something we've seen. I've seen them do it. I don't know if it's full-time or if it's just because of guys being banged up at the line. I mean, Amari Gaynor was out for a long time. They've had some other injuries. I don't know if that's a permanent thing, but I've definitely seen him working there some.
Christopher writes, ho, 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 Horizon. Gentlemen, was that Jamie Robinson's best game in an FSU uniform?
And the one last year against Florida,
he had a big game.
18 tackles and a pick.
But the only thing about that, though, statistically it was, but he also had a couple of bad moments. He got beat on that play down the sideline where the kid basically mossed him. But overall, and then just that play, man, that play is we are going to be watching that play for years. Norvell's right. I mean, that play was awesome.
Donovan writes,
especially the way was it Testator? Just misses them or whatever he said. That was really funny
over and over again. Donovan writes, so how many more wins until we start discussing an extension for Mike? Also, given that play on the field, has Dugans earned another year? Yeah, it does look like Dugans will be back. And I would say this about Mike: at the end of this year, he'll get an extension.
Yeah, I think nobody was happier about that win, and we'll be happier if they house Florida than Jimmy Sexton. Because Jimmy Sexton will be he's probably already made some inquiries.
I don't know, man. Jimmy Sexton makes so much money. A Norvell extension's a drop in the bucket to him. I'd say Norvell's happy.
Well, he's in the middle of trying to negotiate.
I would say Norvell's happier with the money than just Sexton.
He's in the middle of trying to negotiate a buyout for Jimbo and then replacing him with one of his other clients to get in there at A&M and figure out what kind of salary he can get after this disaster. It's tough. When you're the puppet master, you got to think about a lot of things. There's a lot going on there. Bob writes, looking back, I discovered we are a great team with not a lot of depth. If we were healthy, I'm convinced we could have been undefeated. But that's football. Injuries happen. I am 100% convinced Norvell is the right man for the job. He has a great eye for talent, has proven he can coach him up. We just need depth. What say you guys? Also, I might add the honey ginger sriracha wings at Horizons are the best in town. There you go. We got a different entry.
There you go.
We all talk about our favorite.
I don't think I've ever had those.
I'm going to get them next time I'm there, just based on what Bob had to say there.
I wonder if he got them free by singing.
Probably. Yeah, that's, again, guys, that's the rule.
I'll say this. I do think if Fabian Lovett and Jared Verse were fully healthy for all of the games that they missed, that there's a good chance Florida State's 7-1 right now.
Or 7-2.
7-2 right now.
Or 8-1. Which one did you mean? 8-1 or 7-2?
8-1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think there is. Again, you can say specifically that this team lost this game and it wasn't because of their defensive tackle. I'm talking about what it would have meant for the reps for the other guys and how impactful they would have been.
And we also remember some of those other defensive tackles were banged up too. And you had those teams kind of did a lot of damage between the tackles.
Yes,
but that speaks to the where the program starts to grow. One defensive lineman shouldn't.
Well, that's what I was saying.
That's
what I was saying earlier. Yeah,
one loss and 3.
They've come a long way, but now you got to build depth of talent. I completely
that's the next
agree.
step.
Kyle writes, "Hello, boys. That was something, wasn't it? Did we just witness an all-time play in the FSU Miami series up there with the Marvin Jones hit or the Samuels hit in the rain and that Jamie Robinson play where he just tosses the QB?
This one was better because they won the game.
But the only good point. The only challenge with it, though, from a long-term perspective, is it's not a quick play. Like Marvin's hit is boom.
Oh,
Nigel's hit boom. Stanford Samuel. This is like you got to watch the whole spin-a-dee-doo and then just dismiss.
Well,
I don't know if it works as well in a montage of clips.
Yeah,
Does it?
and
maybe you either start with or close with it. But yeah, the ones that go bang, bang, bang.
Yeah,
yeah,
those are
just because
easier.
he's ragdolling him. It's just so disrespectful.
It just like sits him down like
and
a
maybe like
4-year-old.
and then replay the last dismiss. Like
yeah,
just
at the very
a few
end,
times, just over and over and
it's
over.
almost
again.
like, oh, you're still here.
Yeah,
I mean,
why won't you sit down, man?
I grabbed you, treated you like the bitch you are, and you're still. This is
he's about us, the kid. They're in our market.
Oh, I'm sure he's a good kid. I don't know, but he got
good family.
That poor child. I mean, his friends and family.
Yeah,
have to live with this forever.
Worked out on the next play where the ball sailed past them,
and he didn't get to it.
He couldn't get on it.
No, had a lot of time to get on it too.
Yeah, he
it
did.
Seemed
He
like
just
that play
missed
was
it.
slow developing. That was a toughie. Again, we got some more Imagine Love It verse type stuff here. Let's get back to the Twitter stuff.
Yes, let's get back to Twitter.
Okay. Loyal Noel writes, with big roster changes coming up, what are your top 3 portal needs?
It's hard to know because we don't know who's leaving.
I definitely know defensive tackle. I don't care.
Yeah,
if Lovett
you're going to
stays or
need
goes,
defensive tackle
you need
either way.
defensive tackles.
Yeah.
And probably defensive ends. I'm all about the defensive line. That's where I would spend.
It's
a lot of
usually
my
where
time.
you would always say yes to an impactful player. If you at the line of scrimmage, if you, for example,
and then
if somehow a 5-star tackle also on offense said
I was
they
going
wanted
to
to
say,
come in,
offensive line, defensive line probably are the top 2.
You're always going to be open for business there. Okay, which is more likely? All 3 of the same quarterbacks return, transfer, Rodemaker or Duffy, Jordan transfer, and Duffy or Rodemaker. Something totally different. Jesus, Todd.
I mean, that's on you for reading it. And it sounds like a very good question, very thoughtful question, thought provoking. It just wasn't worded very well.
Well, I'm reading verbatim.
So yeah, I know. You got. I don't understand what's
Do we
being
think
asked
anybody's
right now.
leaving? I don't think. Look,
I'm going to reread it.
Don't reread it.
I'm going to reread
Just
it.
talk about the topic of do we think any of the young quarterbacks transfer? I don't think any of them transfer. I mean, Duffy. I don't think I've never gotten any sense that he might be panicking.
So do you
about
think it'll
trying to
be
play.
the same 3 quarterbacks next year?
And then maybe if they bring in somebody else, maybe they bring somebody else in. But yeah, I don't think any of them is leaving. Tate 100% is not leaving. 100%.
I don't think any of them are leaving either. Same group.
Now Jordan possibly could leave, but I just don't think if Jordan stays, that affects either of the other 2.
So if Jordan leaves, obviously it's going to be a portal kid.
Well, yeah, they have to go for the portal, but
that'd be
or Tate. I mean, but they would have
they
to get
still
a
have
portal
to get a
kid.
third
Yeah.
quarterback. Yeah.
Rita writes, did Coach Norvell contact any of those recruits on the Miami sideline after the game?
I would imagine.
He said yesterday they had a lot of contact with them after the game.
I would think. Yeah, I would have said, guys, what are we doing here? Do you want to compete?
He even
win
said
games,
he's like, it was great because they had a lot of recruits there. We had some great conversations with them afterwards.
And the recruits, I imagine, stayed for most of the game, right? I didn't see where they were sitting, but I imagine that was one of the sections that was actually.
They might
full
have
at the
slid
end.
over to the Florida State side.
Yeah,
at
they
some
might have.
point. Yeah.
But I was going to say is like they got to see what the game. That third quarter is what a normal Miami game looks like crowd-wise, and they got to experience that too.
It was something. Miss Webb writes, will Corey drive to Syracuse or will he finally board a plane?
Neither.
He's going to watch it at the Hizzy.
That's an Ira joint.
Ira is going up there to Syracuse, New York.
I have driven to Syracuse for the for the 2014 game. I drove, got really sick that night, threw up in the parking lot that morning, and it was like a real sickness. I wasn't hungover. I'd just driven for 14 hours. That was rough. That was really dumb. That was the time where I'm like, I'm not doing this again. I
remember saying to you, this is asinine. Get on a plane.
It was.
Grant
Shannon was not
writes-
happy with me either. Like I was gone for 46 hours for one football game.
Grant writes, how in the world does Miami recruit as well as they do? 20 years of complete irrelevance, an empty home stadium, locker rooms straight out of The Hobbit. What are they selling to these recruits other than NIL deals? Well, Grant, it is hard to know, but I will tell you that a lot of times you'll see Miami's class ranked highly. It'll start to wane. Also, some of the kids that on the surface look like they're going to be great, impactful players don't go on to become impactful players there at Miami for whatever reason.
But it's also this is Mario's first class.
Right, new car smell right
he's
now.
He's gonna recruit well because he doesn't own
can
this
sell
loss
hope,
as much
baby.
as you think. People, I know FSU fans are looking at that as that's on Mario Cristobal. That he's not selling to recruits. He's telling them this isn't my problem.
Absolutely.
This is Manny Diaz's problem.
Absolutely. See how much you could help us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the Slappies who came before me hadn't made this such a mess, I wouldn't be here. But
Yeah.
I'm here now because they did, and I need you to come in and make this all better. Burke writes, how do you think Sean Tucker from Syracuse compares to the running backs at FSU? I think he's a great player. Really, really good player. He's a tough, hard-nosed player.
He'd fit in well.
He'd fit in, yeah, he really would. He'd fit in very well at FSU's room. We got a lot more questions to get to. We'll do so in a moment. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The adult male pedestrian that was involved in a crash on October 21st succumbed to his injuries early Monday morning. According to the Tallahassee Police Department, based on the original police report from the incident, the male was involved in a traffic crash in the 500 block of Appleyard Drive. He was taken to the hospital with serious injuries at that time. TPD stated that this remains an open and active investigation, and all evidence and findings will be submitted to the state attorney's office once the investigation is complete. Candidates and local party leaders made their final push Monday to get voters who haven't cast their ballots out to the polls ahead of the midterm elections. Local GOP leaders said through their efforts they want to get some 20,000 voters out to the polls. The local GOP party has been sending out Election Day reminders ahead of November 8th in their Get Out the Vote push. Democrats said they have been focusing on promoting their candidates with flyers from the top of the ballot on down. Polls close today at 7 p.m. in Leon County. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at macklemoresystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Mainly sunny skies and calm this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 84. Winds out of the northeast, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies and quiet again tonight. Lows dip down to about 53. Highs around 72 tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies. Chance for scattered thunderstorms Thursday. Chance for scattered rain showers on Friday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 87.
This is Sister Dot Brown, reminding you to tune in every Sunday morning from 9 to 11 for good gospel music here on 93.3 every Sunday morning. Dot Brown.
Your body is a masterpiece designed to heal itself from within. Learn how to maximize your health by tuning in to Phenomenal Health with me, Dr. Ryan Finn. Saturdays at 2:30. Experience true health today and call Finn Chiropractic at 386-7700.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Hey, Greg Tish here along with
Matty Rowe.
And you can listen to us Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Matt, we give away a couple things each week.
Just a few.
We've got the Florida Farm Bureau Insurance Wheel of Food. We have Give Me a Second, where we play a second of a song and you guess that song. And we also play FLA or Nay. We have a lot of fun Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on
The Greg Tish Show.
Think that's enough?
We could talk about our feelings.
There's a lot.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. only on Real Talk 93.3.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
All right, I love this one. UF looks better than I initially thought, writes Carlos, but FSU is getting better as well. What's a way too early score prediction? Keep up the good work. I said 38-31 earlier today. I'll stick with that.
I want to see, well, both teams really this weekend. But again, it's hard to put a ton of stock into what they did to A&M. Just because they were missing like 8 of their starting 11 on defense.
Yeah.
So we know Florida's defense isn't good. So
I got 35-21 Florida State.
Okay, I'm gonna abstain.
Oh,
I'm gonna abstain.
Pulling an Ira.
Yeah.
I would never do that.
Wilson writes, considering how awful almost every Jimbo offense has looked without Jameis Winston or Dalvin Cook in it, how good was that 2013 bunch, guys? Look, they've got to be all time.
Yeah, I mean, it really, again, that was part of the thing we talked about at the time. And then obviously in retrospect is, man, Jameis was otherworldly to make that offense run at that level because it's the most efficient offense in college football history. Like they scored 94 touchdowns as a team, which is nuts when you just think about 94 touchdowns in one season. But they did it at a slow pace. But they didn't play the fourth quarter in any of those games.
But it was Jameis, but then it was everything else too.
Right, but all those other guys were there already. Jameis was the one that turned it into a unstoppable engine. That's what I meant.
Love Jameis. I'm just saying, but he also had he had great players everywhere.
Yeah.
Great college players everywhere. And if he didn't, it wouldn't have been that, is all I'm saying.
Well, sure. Yeah. It would have been 12. 2012, which was a good offense. You remember they had a lot of yards per play.
Forgive the basketball question after a Miami beatdown, but why do our 6'5" guards, who can't shoot free throws, always drive to the basket only to draw a foul with no attempt to score? Been an issue for years now. Big guards who would rather float, shoot, fade always rather than be strong.
Well, I mean, you're saying two different things there. I think.
Yeah,
if you're saying you're trying to get fouled and not try to score, then that's not the same as fading. I think some of these guys are better free throw shooters than they were last night.
Well, let's hope.
That was something, wasn't it?
I think, and then in a lot of those years, Florida State was shooting free throws exceptionally well. So I don't know. I don't know if that's. I mean, look, man, when everybody has their little pet peeves that they don't like about a team, like I mean, I was getting texts during the game last night, Twitter messages during the game about things people are complaining about during a 45-3 win over Miami. So there are things that like people have their own little things that they kind of trigger. Why don't the DBs ever look back for the ball? Why don't we do this play? Why don't we? And so to me, that guy's got that issue. I don't think that that's indicative of what their problem was last night. I mean, what's the answer to not try to get to the basket? I mean,
or to be better free throw shooters.
But they are. I mean, I do think they're better free throw shooters than they.
Caleb Mills is for sure.
Yeah.
Tyler writes, is Keyshawn Helton hurt or is he just towards the back of the depth chart? Saw he was tweeting during the game, so I'm guessing he didn't travel. That's from Tyler.
Who is this?
Keyshawn Helton.
He's traveled some. He's been in uniform some. He's not been in uniform some. I mean, we're not supposed to talk about injuries, but I do think he's dealt with something this year. He practices sometimes. He doesn't practice sometimes. I don't have a straight answer on it. I don't think it's strictly performance. I think there may be some other health-related thing.
Scotty writes, gentlemen, had Jimbo had access to a crystal ball and seen the struggles at A&M to come, would he have stayed put at FSU? Money's one thing, but so is ego, and he has a lot of both. Look, I don't think the FSU thing was going to be tenable anymore, Scotty. We've kind of gone over this, and I'm not dismissing your question.
It wasn't strictly money.
It wasn't. To me, it was mostly not money at all. Yeah. They had all kinds of problems. He and the administration, he and the athletic department, he and his team.
And he knew where the program was going.
Well, because he had stopped recruiting, and it was all.
And holding guys accountable.
Well, and he wasn't going to fire his coaches, and there were all these things that he could have done to save himself here. He had made the decision long ago. That is an ugly demise.
When he walked out the door, they had a losing record.
So I don't remember the details of this one, but I know after the last time a deal was not upheld, there was a losing streak. Let's hope Corey Clark has done the right thing. Oh, so he knew this by the time I got to this.
Yeah.
He did do the right thing, everybody.
Gang. They're winning out, gang. They got your hour number 2. Ira actually listened to it during the break.
Oh,
somebody
tweeted at us.
Oh, nice.
And
nice.
It's better watching it back than it was live.
Mad Noel writes, and I like this question, by the way. What do you all feel is the number one thing that Mike Norvell does? What compared to other coaches does he do better? Probably pencil whipping almost every DC we go against is my pick. Pistol whipping, yeah. Love you guys. Go Noles.
Did he say pistol or pencil?
He wrote pencil, but it could have been a typo.
Either way.
Pencil whip with the
pistol whip sounds much
it's
more
a lot
aggressive.
more devastating.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm picturing Ray Liotta doing So what I would say in terms of Mike's offense is he's always been prolific. His offenses have always scored a ton of points.
Except for these last 2 years.
But I'm saying as he was building back to this, we could see there were signs building towards this. They were able to score and have explosive plays when they had no business. They had the worst receiving core in the ACC, one of the worst in the Power 5, and they were competitive in a lot of games against teams they were thoroughly outmatched against. So they were always trending towards being a good offense. They just needed to obviously get better players and have some semblance of an offensive line. They now have both, and they are scoring a lot of points. I think he game plans exceptionally well. Most of the time when they have failures, it's a failure of execution, not of scheme. I think they do a good job of putting these kids in a position to succeed.
I think his message resonates throughout the program about work and
it's
just everything he believes in. He makes that. It's not just lip service, and it's not something that he doesn't do himself. And they see it every minute of every day they're around him. And I think that just almost by osmosis, if nothing else, the players feed off that and feel that. So I think he does a lot of things well. There's some things clearly he still doesn't do great that he needs to get better. But I would say that game planning is probably the right answer, just what he's done on offense.
No, but I think you make a good point. No, I do think sticking to the message is really important.
There's a lot of reasons.
It's genuine.
There's a lot of things. I mean, you could talk about just being a good football coach, man. You watch him coach. He's a good football coach, handling people. There's a lot of things. But Keith B says it in the chat, consistency. And that might be it, man. Like, in whatever you're doing, if you're going to lead people, whether it's running an office or a business or your family, being a parent, whatever it is, you got to be consistent. That's like a foundational thing. And a lot of coaches are not consistent. And Jimbo, when things went south, he was not consistent.
It's probably the number one thing that
Willie was consistent.
It's probably the number one thing that I found saddening about the way things went with Jimbo at the end. Because there was a guy that once told me in an interview and off the record and all these things that kids want to be disciplined because they want the consistency. They want things they can depend on. They want to be held to a standard that they can believe in, trust, and know is the same all the time. He knew this.
Yeah.
He knew this, and he violated his own tenets.
There's a lot of things he said. Didn't really.
That is the difference. That's why I bring it up, not to pile on.
Yeah.
I bring it up because there's a lot of things he said, but then what Corey pointed out is right. It's that, again, that guy is forever preaching this message that they all believe in, and he shows by the way he acts on a daily basis consistently that you can trust it. You can trust that it's not just a slogan. It's not a mantra. It's a way of life. It's a way of working.
It's not just a motto.
By the way, look at all the pregame speeches, all the cinematic stuff that they do with the social media. Every pregame speech references the work.
Yeah.
About how much work they've put in, how much time, effort, blood, sweat, tears they've put in. It's a constant reminder that this is the opportunity to reward yourself for all that sacrifice, all that stuff. So I really don't have time for another question because we're wrapping it up here shortly. So we'll wrap up here.
Right. But that is the essence of it. You know, he uses a phrase I don't know if I've ever heard another coach talk about, but pouring into players. That legitimately is like it's a very accurate metaphor because he is giving them so much and demanding so much of them that I think they feel obligated to kind of return it back. I mean, that's part of it. It's not just him yelling or screaming. There's so many coaches that just yell or scream. I mean, I think those guys know he wants it for them as bad as they want it for them. Maybe worse.
It was one of the coolest things that I saw. I brought it up ad nauseum. People got tired of hearing it, I'm sure. And I didn't do it because it was a thing that I could say that I got to see that nobody else did. I say it because it moved me when I saw it. Being at his house for that dinner after the spring practice a couple years back, man, when he got emotional talking to his team, I could tell it was genuine. But more importantly, I was looking at them because I wanted to see how they were going to respond to their coach getting emotional. There were guys there that got tears in their eyes, and they had his back in that moment. Went over and hugged him like backups, starters. It didn't matter. They were all there. I thought in that moment, I'm like, okay, look, they're on the right path. We'll see. You got to win games, and this could go south still. But, man, he cared deeply about the work that they had put in, and he kept telling them that. He's like, it's an honor to coach you guys. He said that again, by the way, before Saturday's game. It's an honor to coach you guys, but also thanks for the hard work. I understand the sacrifice that it takes. You guys have put in all of this time, and it's kind of like he's saying, now go get your just due, which I love. And I also like, and you pointed it out, I think it's important that Mike, since he got here, there are games that he circles. There are games that he tells you he understands mean more than others.
Yeah.
You're damn right. That FSU Miami game and that FSU Florida game does mean more than the FSU Wake game. It just does. Doesn't mean you shouldn't win that other game.
As an outsider, you need to make that clear to your constituents that you understand that. And I say outsider because he came from Memphis and Arkansas and all these other. He's not a Florida kid, so he knows. And you better let your constituents know that you know that Miami and Florida are different.
There's been a bunch of coaches at different schools that have gotten fired for that reason. Had great season. John Cooper at Ohio State.
Oh, forever. He's the best example.
I mean,
he'd go 10-2 every year, lose to both his rivals. Peace.
Meanwhile, my guy at Auburn, what's the guy that used Malzahn, kept his job because he could beat Alabama sometimes.
Yeah, he did do
he beat Alabama on the regular.
That's the only reason he kept his job.
Much to the chagrin of the Auburn faithful.
Yeah.
They're like,
he kept
we're
beating
finally
them.
getting rid of him.
Son of a, he beat Alabama again.
We got to keep him. Let's extend him.
Keep him one more time. All right, for Ira Chaffel and Corey Clark, I'm Jeff Cameron. Good job on the hour number 2, Corey.
Hey, thank you, man.
Yeah.
Hey,
go back and listen to it.
I pour into people too.
There we go.
Just like Mike Norvell does.
He poured into all of us.
Thanks to all of you guys out there. We'll see you next week on Seminole Headlines. And don't forget all this week, Jeff Cameron Show, Wake Up Warchant. We've got the by the way, the Warchant Report tomorrow. I think I'm on that with you as well.
No, I think it's a JCS edition. You and Tom.
Wow, here we go.
Sorry, yeah. You got to watch along. Got to watch along on Saturday.
Yeah, all the good stuff. All right, be well, everybody. Good job, Matthew. Take care, and we'll talk to you next week. Peace. Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless with zero